Welcome to There Will Be Expletives. I am Jeff.
And I am Ron.
And we're reporting live from Comic-Con. Just kidding, we're not important.
No Comic-Con for us.
You know what's going to happen, right? We're going to air this shit, and then it's going to be like bam, 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 news story after news story, trailer after trailer.
Breaking news non-stop from the moment we air. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be really annoying because this is what's going to happen. But we have some pretty cool news articles to get through, and then we have our Terminator Genisys review at the end. We're gonna do again like we did last time. We're gonna do the spoiler-free review for the first half of it, and then at the end of it, where we can tell you when to quit listening if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and then again, we don't have to tell them to quit listening to our podcast yet.
They do that all on their own.
They do that all on their own. But yeah, we're saving it for the end again because it's just easier. We used to do them at the beginning, but telling people that no, skip this part, and then you skip right into the middle of a fucking spoiler you didn't want to hear.
It's a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah,
I don't like doing it either.
So we do them at the end now for the reviews. So the spoiler version is the last thing you'll hear. So you can turn it off and still get the rest of the episode in.
We've got some awesome news to start off though in the movie section though, and that is Han Solo is going to have his own spin-off movie confirmed.
Goddamn right.
And not only is he going to have his own movie, but it's going to be directed by, what is it, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, I believe are their names?
I believe so. 21 Jump Street guys.
Yeah, in the Lego movie. And this news was freaking fantastic because I was already, of course, going to watch the Han Solo standalone film, but knowing it's done by those guys, and those guys are on record like the biggest Star Wars geeks.
Yeah, and given that they've done the Lego movie and the 21 Jump Street movies, and what else did they do?
Collided with a Chance of Meatballs was the other one.
Collided with a Chance of Meatballs. Did they do what? I guess I'm thinking of someone else. I was thinking, who did Winter Soldier?
You're thinking of the Community guys.
Community guys, okay.
Yeah, those are the Russo brothers.
Yeah, the Russo brothers who I'm thinking of. Okay, so but still, given the movies that they've done, like it's probably going to feel. It's going to feel like Star Wars, but it's going to have a lot of 21 Jump Street in it, probably. Like, just comedy with the shit Han Solo is going to say and some of the happenings, especially if, the ongoing rumor is it's most likely going to be Chris Pratt as a young Han Solo.
He's 100% either going to be Han Solo or Indiana Jones, one of the two. Yeah. So it's just a matter of which one gets done first, and it looks like this one's going to be done first. And also...
Fuck, Harrison Ford did both. Just give him both.
Yeah, why not? Hell. And not only is that, kind of the obvious choice now because he's so, thick with Disney at the moment with, not only just his success over at the other company with Jurassic Park, but, in-house with the Marvel movies, he's had a lot of success with Disney. But also, those two directors actually worked with him before. He was the lead in the Lego movie. That was before he kind of blew up.
That's right.
So they already liked him before he was, kind of becoming A-list.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably at least 75% chance Chris Pratt's our Han Solo, and once that news breaks, that's going to break the internet really bad.
There will be no internet.
Because even the director choices were trending on Twitter like a day after the news broke. So,
yeah.
I mean, Chris Pratt's like everyone's golden boy right now, so that news is going to hit huge. But there was a little bit of sadness associated with the news article, though, and that is that these were the two guys originally associated with the Flash movie.
Yeah.
They were originally going to be directing...
Could you imagine if the Lego movie, the smart assery to come from Flash?
Yeah, and it would have been a fantastic choice for the Flash too. And now they are only going to be able to participate in a writing and producing capacity with that. And also, if you remember, we did an article on the animated Spider-Man movie. They were also going to direct that, but now that's all off the table. They can only write and produce that as well. So it's a bummer for those. But I think if I had to pick any of them, I would have them do the Han Solo movie because they're just perfect for it.
Yeah,
they're just perfect for that level of smartassery you're talking about. It's just, I think it's gonna be great. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. There's a lot of good things coming, I think, out of that universe. If anything deserves to have a fucking universe, it's Star Wars.
Right? Not fucking Ghostbusters.
Fucking Transformers is getting a universe. And those movies, that one I could kind of see. Those movies didn't suck as hard as they do. So, that's a whole other podcast. Something that I was kind of happy about because when I was young and didn't know anything any better about movies and wasn't critiquing them as hard or having a podcast about movies, I actually kind of enjoyed the first Tomb Raider movie. Don't remember much of the sequel if I even saw it. But, you know, we've had that badass Terminator reboot recently, game-wise. And everyone seems to love. I haven't played it yet. Shocker, I haven't played a game.
Oh, the Tomb Raider reboot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very good. I think you said Terminator. That's why I was like...
Really? Well, you know, I've still got some stuff that I need to get out later. But, you know, Tomb Raider, Terminator, same fucking thing. But, yeah, so... Everybody loved the game when it was rebooted, so of course, naturally it follows that we are getting a movie reboot. It looks like they're looking for a female director again, because right now it's hot to be a woman in Hollywood, apparently, with the Ghostbusters stuff that's going on and everything like that. So it makes sense we have a female heroine. We're going to have a female heroine. All heroines are female. Anyways, get a female director. Looks like the guy that wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles script is the guy they're looking at writing the reboot. You actually saw Ninja Turtles. How solid was that script?
It didn't give me cancer, but
it was close.
No, okay.
Just HIV.
It's better than like Transformers 2.
That's setting the bar at the floor, Jeff.
Like, it's not the worst thing in the
world. That's setting the bar so low we need to send James Cameron to go pick it up.
Now I've got that South Park song stuck in my head. But, okay, it's not horrible, but it's definitely not good to the point where I don't understand why you would go out of your way to seek out the guy. So... see, I don't even remember the Angelina Jolie ones, and I think I actually saw both of them, but what did that come out like over a decade ago now? Like, it's been forever.
Yeah, it has.
That was back when they were kind of going through that superhero movie phase before superhero movies hit. They were just kind of like property, throwing it out there, you know, just for cash.
And not only that, it was in the era of like the impossible superhero, the superhero that's like invincible and all that kind of stuff. Now the thing that's in is just, what the hell can we do to torture the fucking hero in anything?
Pretty much. But what they should do with this, though, I don't know if, since you haven't played it, but the voice actress for Lara Croft in the new games actually does all the mocap, and she actually looks a lot like the characters. I would just grab her and move her over to the movie.
Why not, right?
Because she's a really, really good Lara Croft, and, you know, her voice matches it really well, and, you know, she looks the part because they're doing her mocap for it. So
trying to see if they were talking about a possible selection or thing. We got Evan Daughtry is the name of the screenwriter that did Ninja Turtles.
Looks like Michelle McLaren from Breaking Bad is being one they're looking at.
Yeah,
which anyone associated with Breaking Bad is going to be a hot selection.
Which the thing that's interesting about that is she was originally attached to the Wonder Woman movie and then dropped out of that. So you've got, you know, the reboot that, you know, basically from what I understood, tortured the hell out of Lara Croft all the way through and had some amazing character development and everything. We'd be basing it on that, and then you'd be having the person that they wanted to direct Wonder Woman. So
works for me.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be come together pretty solid. The Ninja Turtles thing is kind of, I mean, dude, you don't know how many tubs of Ninja Turtle toys are in my parents' attic.
Oh yeah, you're probably gonna hate it.
And that saw the trailer to that movie, and I was like, nope, fuck that, and did not go.
The only thing I hated was Megan Fox. Mm-hmm. Megan Fox's April to me is.
I heard really bad things about what they did to Shredder too, but
yeah,
you can't fuck up Shredder in a Ninja Turtle movie.
Yeah.
Don't see the movie.
You're gonna hate it probably.
Okay.
But what's
good to know?
What's good to see though is that they're, you know, like going after the person that was associated with Breaking Bad. Like they're actually going after quality for the video game movies now, which they haven't really hit a really good video game movie yet, but they're trying to get quality people associated with them.
You know, we were talking about the World of Warcraft movie needs to do something for the market of turning video games into movies.
I want my Last of Us movie. Yeah. Damn it.
Right? Well, it may not, if World of Warcraft doesn't, there's always the chance that with as linear as the Tomb Raider games are, where we're talking about like Uncharted is basically a movie in the way it's made just because of how linear it is.
Interactive fiction.
Yeah. Much. And the way the Tomb Raider games are set up, maybe Tomb Raider could do it. From what I've heard, that game was really solid on story and everything.
It's very cinematic. It's a lot of Uncharted. It's almost like half Uncharted, half. I think the combat is a little more reminiscent of like Last of Us because they do a little bit more of like kind of hand to hand style. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would be intrigued to see this movie. It's probably going to be a while out because I think it kind of seems like they're all kind of waiting for that Warcraft movie.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of waiting for the reception to it. But,
and I have shit a lot on the Ghostbusters everything that I've been hearing, but, I'm not against female superheroes. I'm just against blatantly throwing them out there just to have them. Like, I feel like it was really unnecessary to be like, hey guys, you guys want women? We're going to make the entire cast of Ghostbusters women. It's kind of like, how about we get Idris Elba as 007, but since he's black, let's make James Bond a code name designation like 007 is, and then that way we can explain why he's black. Just fucking ignore the fact that what's it matter that he's black? Like stuff like that pisses me off, but I would be all for fucking Tomb Raider movie, just watching Lara Croft like fuck everyone up.
You definitely need to play that game.
It was on my list.
I think didn't they remaster it for the current gen now too?
I
where
believe
you could even play with like up to date graphics and everything.
I believe so. So yeah,
and it was already a good looking game, so it's gonna be really good on those.
But okay, so straight out of the what the fuck department, we've got. You guys remember the last time Hasbro tried to make one of the properties into a movie? You guys remember how that went? Like,
it was that whole Battleship, right?
That probably one like Hasbro board game that could actually be made into a movie that has already been done and
that's the one that maybe kind of works is already the biggest stretch imaginable. It's fucking Battleship. I mean, but yeah, this is even worse. Go on. What's the movie?
Monopoly!
Hooray!
Boom!
Next story article.
I know, it's just... No.
This is fucking ridiculous.
The reason I put this in here, by the way... Okay.
So you can hear me just curse Hollywood for their inability to create an original goddamn property.
They're trying to get... Or no, he is on board. I'm sorry. The guy that wrote Gattaca, which we all know how well that was received. I actually kind of liked it, but it was not received well at all.
Is that
Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hawke and Jude Law? Is Jude Law in that movie?
Yes, he is. I forgot all about that. And The Truman Show, Andrew Niccol is writing the story. How you're getting... Well, unless it's just a documentary about Wall Street, I don't know how you're getting a story out of Monopoly.
If I was approached to write that script, my first thing would be like, what the fuck do you want me to do? It's a board game.
We want you to do not pass go. That's what we want you to do.
And it's a board game, like you were saying with with Battleship. It leads to the possibility of at least action, sort of.
Jeff,
this is Monopoly.
I need this to work so I can get my chutes and ladders and my Candyland. I need this to work, Jeff.
It's like I don't even understand.
What was the name of that little carpet mat thing you had that had like the town and the roads and stuff? I need that movie, Jeff.
Also, this is freaking Monopoly. I'm sure they're going to somewhat associate this and make it accessible for kids. Kids don't know what the fuck Monopoly is anymore.
No one, dude. That game's fucking complicated. It's not going to be a kid's thing.
Yeah, we're talking about with action. The only action that comes off Monopoly is when you attack your relative over getting pissed off at Monopoly.
Do you think they're actually going to cast money bags?
Probably.
Because why not?
Who would you cast as money bags?
Oh, dude.
You know what? Jonah Hill. Let's just make it fucking ridiculous.
I could see it. But no, did you know that apparently Universal and Ridley Scott were originally involved in this and they walked?
Oh,
believe
Christ.
it or not.
I would like to be...
That means we could have had a xenomorph in
See, now you're talking. Dude, if it's Moneybags going like, it's in the room, I'm there. But as it stands...
Moneybags are like his personal plane. Like, nuke it from space is the only way to be sure. Yeah.
I'm just sitting here scratching my head.
So yeah,
I don't understand. Let's move on to news that doesn't just make me furious, and that is we got some more still photos of Batman v Superman on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, and they are some sexy images, man. Like I am on board as being cautiously optimistic. You have been really shitting on this, but I think you even admit like they have some really good images that they released.
They do. I cannot get over the cover of Ben Affleck, dude. Just fucking look at Ben Affleck. It's ridiculous.
How's it? I think he looks fine. How does he look ridiculous?
It looks like someone told Ben Affleck, "Here, put this on and just be you, but mopey."
Well, I mean,
it's been it just like okay, Henry Cavill. That looks like fucking Superman to me. Gal Gadot, or however the fuck you say her name.
I believe that's how you say it, yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice. Right on the money. Fucking Wonder Woman right there. Okay, when I first heard her, because she's about as big around as a pencil in like the Fast and Furious movies and stuff, I was like, Wonder Woman, there's no woman there to wonder. Like, she's so small. Like, I don't want Wonder Woman to be fucking buff. That doesn't make any sense, but she was so small. But I think she has buffed up and toned a little bit for the role, and that costume, like you said, has there's no reason that it should look as good as it does.
That costume has no business working on screen, and I think it looks fantastic. I think they did a great job, especially, and what really sells it is I'm glad they're doing the New 52 thing with her having a sword.
Yes.
I think that automatically makes her more badass.
Yeah. So, yeah, no. Henry Cavill, Superman. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, and then Ben Affleck.
I think you're so mean to poor Ben Affleck.
I can't get over it, dude. But
I love the suit. I think it looks really good.
And
I think Ben Affleck, because he heard all of that shit, people talking down on him. I think he's actually going to do a really, really great job.
One thing that I will give him that I did not know was I've been listening to a lot of Kevin Smith podcasts lately. And I finally reached, as I've been listening to the backlog of them, and I reached the ones where he was talking about Ben Affleck being cast as Batman. And I did not realize that he's actually a Batman comic book fan.
Well, I told you, we're in the house, we're getting tangentially off topic.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
But Kevin Smith, bought his current house from Ben Affleck. And have you gotten to the point where Ben Affleck actually installed, a Batcave style entrance to his panic room? Yeah. He is we've often talked about how we loved how Andrew Garfield was a giant Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is probably the first actor being cast as Batman who's actually a Batman fan.
Yeah.
So he's going to pour his heart and soul into this, and also it's a good point. What Kevin Smith usually brings up is that Ben Affleck has a whole lot on the line with this movie, and he didn't really have, typically these actors who take on these big superhero roles use it to jumpstart their career.
Right.
Right now, you're talking about the dude who just won an Oscar for his movie Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
George Clooney and Val Kilmer nearly ended their careers doing Batman.
Yeah.
So
really, at this point in his career, while he's on a roll directing and making his own movies,
Daredevil nearly ended him last time.
Exactly. And
now he's doing it again on the DC side.
For him to take on this role, he has a lot of faith in, I think, their script, the people they have associated with it, and his confidence in taking on the role. Because, you're talking about Daredevil, he is, even in the Entertainment Weekly articles, he's on record as being Daredevil did not work.
Yeah.
So for him to willingly go throw on the suit again and be another superhero, especially Batman, the biggest hero on the planet at the moment, popularity-wise, I really do think he's going to turn in a good performance. The movie may suck.
Yeah.
But I think Ben Affleck's going to give it his all and actually have a good performance.
Forget that it's Ben Affleck. The closest I get to thinking of him as Bruce Wayne or Batman is probably this fucking awesome picture of him and Diana at a ball or something,
which totally brings up that Justice League episode.
Yes,
of
it
the
does.
Cartoon.
And where you never really see him unshaven. He's always clean shaven. That's the closest I get to forgetting that he's fucking Ben Affleck.
I think when you get into some of those fight scenes and you hear him with that voice,
don't think of him as a fighter.
when you get into some of those fight scenes and he's got that voice modulator going and he's whooping Superman's ass.
I really hope that voice modulators throughout and not just in the what I call the Iron Bat.
I hope you're right too, but even just in that scene, I think for sure you're going to forget that it's been...
Because, I mean, there are logical reasons why I understand going the Dark Knight Returns costume. I'm like, it's not my favorite costume.
But the whole storyline is Dark Knight Returns.
But the whole storyline is Dark Knight Returns, and like the point you brought up, they need something with short ears because Ben Affleck is already taller than Superman. So
by 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah,
he's
so
much
he can't have the iconic, like, huge-ass ears. That's just a disturbing photo, Lex Luthor with hair. But yeah,
look at that. Scroll. We're looking on the computer. Look at the one where he's next to. I love the bat symbol with that gigantic fat bat. I just love that image. That's
like if I was Batman. That's what that is. No one on this podcast has ever seen me before. Now they know I'm fat. So speaking of DC Comics, something that we're interested in hearing about for sure. I guess speaking of the Flash, also like we mentioned before, Chris Pine. We're probably going to hear what he's going to be doing at Comic-Con. Not what he's doing at Comic-Con, but what he's doing for DC at anyways.
Yeah, it is being reported he has already been offered the Steve Trevor role, which is the second lead in the solo Wonder Woman
which
film.
The internet immediately went, what the fuck? Just Steve Trevor, like he's just going to be holding Wonder Woman's purse. Steve Trevor was a bigger role than that, wasn't it?
Steve Trevor is, I mean, yeah, he's not a superhero or anything, but he's a major character.
Because when it broke that there's a chance he could be Steve Trevor, I cannot fucking talk tonight. That he's gonna be Steve Trevor, the internet itself broke and just immediately started shitting on that. And I'm like, I remember, I mean, I don't know much about Steve Trevor because everything I know about Wonder Woman, just like much of everything else, is from the cartoons and such. But I know in the comics and stuff, that's a bigger role than just holding Wonder Woman's purse.
Yeah, he is the second lead of that film.
And way to like fucking shit on Wonder Woman. And she's like supposed to be like the icon for women everywhere, and you just immediately feminize her internet with, oh, here she has a purse and she's gonna hand it to her man. Yeah,
typical internet fashion.
Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, so it's been reported that he has been offered that role and he has not accepted it yet because he is up for the role of Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
Which, give me that. If you're not going to make him Flash
would have been the perfect choice, but a good consolation prize would be getting Chris Pine as Hal Jordan because that would be probably the first casting where kind of everyone's on board.
Yeah, especially for Green Lantern.
They've been very, very... You gotta appreciate their level of, go fuck yourself, internet, we have a vision, we're gonna pick who we want. Because, Ben Affleck was an odd choice. Gal Gadot was an odd choice.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill was an unknown, so you didn't really have anything to base it off of just yet. But they would, actually get a big win off of Chris Pine. I think, I agree with you. I think he would have been just fine as a Steve Trevor role, which is a more important role than people give it credit for. But especially with him as Hal Jordan, I think it'd be a really, really good choice because I don't really give Ryan Reynolds much shit for the Green Lantern movie. I thought he was just fine because he can't control the script he's being given.
Right.
He can't control his lines. But just as far as getting that character down, I think Chris Pine's a pretty good fit.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the moment in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie, the only comic book based movie to ever point this out, when he goes to what's her fuck's balcony or whatever, and he just has that little bitty dinky mask on.
Calling out the domino mask.
Yeah, and she immediately knows who he is. How could you tell? She's like, you cover up your eyes and don't think I won't recognize you? Like,
it's almost as dumb as the Superman glasses and hair lick, and that's the whole disguise. But yeah, I do. I knew what scene you're talking about as soon as you started talking about it.
Yeah. So,
this is this DC panel coming up is probably what I'm most intrigued by at Comic-Con.
Well,
so
fuck, they're the only ones there.
this is true, but I'm really looking forward.
Hall
to...
H has got cobwebs in place of booths, man.
I'm really looking forward to watching those leaked, horribly shot fan videos of all of the cool trailers. But you're like glued to it as if you were there.
We need to get some. I need to get like a YouTube downloader app because it's going to be gone before you have a chance to like share any of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
There was also a little bit more they were talking about with Green Lantern, and that was there's some rumors going around that they might be doing Green Lantern Corps.
Yes.
Where they would be doing concurrently, not just like a Hal Jordan story, but him and Jon Stewart together, which I'm all for. Mm-hmm. It would also be a good way to differentiate it from the Ryan Reynolds movie.
I am fine with that if we acknowledge the Corps' existence, but I don't want to fucking see the Corps. Oh, there's already so much going on in this movie with all of the fucking, all the cameos and everything. We're talking Justice League?
Yeah, this is not having, I don't think Chris Pine or Green Lantern is going to have anything to do with like Batman versus Superman.
Well,
this is
even
only going to
still
be
for Justice League.
I agree. Yeah, there's a lot going on
because there's still a lot happening in Justice League,
and there's no reason to do the full Corps, but I would
not
like
unless
to
you're doing Sinestro for some reason. Do we need to see the Lantern Corps?
I would like to see them do Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart together, though. I think that'd be a smart way to make it different.
Yeah, who would you cast as Jon Stewart? While we're on the topic,
well, the original choice, who actually said like I would do it if you offer me it, which was making me scratch my head why they didn't immediately offer it to him. But Idris Elba was actually on record saying,
"Sign me the fuck up,
I want to be Jon Stewart," and they still haven't casted him as Jon Stewart. It's like, come on, guys.
You have an amazing fucking actor that, yeah, granted he's already on one side of the fence.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit? Amazing fucking actor saying he wants the role. Give him the fucking role.
He would knock it out of the park, man.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
Is he a fan? Do we know? Has he been on record saying?
I don't know how much of a fan he is, like maybe in general of comics, but he's obviously familiar with it.
You won't have to make Jon Stewart a code name.
if he went out of his way to say like, make me Jon Stewart Green Lantern, he's familiar with it to some extent. So yeah. that would have been awesome. One day I'm going to San Diego, man. It's one of my bucket list things. I really want to go to Comic-Con.
Maybe we'll finally get big enough to report from there. Anyways.
Now I'm sad. But another superhero movie news, we're going to cross the pond over into some Marvel news, and that was that the Selma director passed on Marvel's Black Panther. And I'm going to attempt to pronounce her name. It was Ava DuVernay.
I think that's a pretty good attempt, but I have no idea if that's right.
But yes, so do they have any other potential candidates they're looking at replacing her with? This is still pretty far out. What is this, like 2018?
Yeah, this is pretty far. 2018. Rick Famuyiwa. I'm gonna guess. I have no fucking clue.
Sounds like you made it sound like a Godzilla villain or something.
Godzilla. Yeah, no, I have no. Rick F-A-M.
There you go.
I actually think the wood sounds familiar. It sounds dirty, but it sounds familiar.
I'm not familiar with it.
I have no idea who the fuck this guy is.
So it would be an unknown. But if it's Marvel picking them as my usual go-to, I trust them until they prove me wrong otherwise. So
yeah. What was interesting, though, what I'd like to hear more about, and one of the reasons why I wanted to plug this story, is it was over creative differences, is why the director walked. Well, didn't walk, they just didn't come to terms. So, I'm pretty curious what the story is there, what it is they're wanting to do, what it is that,
So, sometimes what happens with the Marvel stuff is the reason why Edgar Wright left Ant-Man, the Shaun of the Dead director, is that if these people come in and they have like a specific tone or vision, usually they don't work. Because what happens is Kevin Feige's way is the way you're going with it. Because that's why the movies, one of their biggest strengths is also one of their biggest weaknesses is that they all kind of feel like the same tone.
Right.
Usually, you have a little bit of, difference in like Guardians. Like Guardians feels dramatically different, but typically that doesn't work, and they don't, see eye to eye because, if the director comes in and wants to do it one way, which doesn't gel with them.
You can see that because as a director, you have a vision for everything you do. If you're the one directing it, it's your vision you want people to see.
And if you don't have vision, you don't make it to be a Hollywood director.
Right.
They're used to controlling every little thing.
And there has to be a certain amount of ego playing that too, because if you didn't have a little bit of ego, you would never step out there to direct anything, or if you did, you would certainly never show it to the public.
Exactly.
So, you can only imagine when these directors get in there and say they have creative differences, how loud were some of those creative differences, you know what I mean? So...
But it's Marvel. They've been knocking everything out of the park, so until they, prove me otherwise, I'm going to trust their decisions, and I bet they'll find... I really, really like the actor they've chosen. I went back and watched the Jackie Robinson movie. He's fantastic in it. I
still want to see that. I haven't seen that.
He was awesome in it. Harrison Ford was also really, really good in it. You should check it out. It was a good movie. And in other Marvel news with the next story, we have that Kevin Feige came out and said the new Spider-Man film will be basically a John Hughes movie, which is a very intriguing headline, which was one of those that kind of blew up on Twitter, what the hell. And you have the article pulled up. What exactly do you think he means by this?
Well, at some point, is what I was looking for.
Well, for those unfamiliar, John Hughes is 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, basically every famous 80s movie.
Oh, here it is. It's the soap opera in high school and those supporting characters that are interesting. So, yeah, there you go. Spider-Man, the soap opera of the MCU. I love the Photoshop Spider-Man into the article and the pretty in red and blue.
It makes sense though, because they're going out of their way to.
Is that fucking John Cryer?
Looks like it. It looks like they're going out of their way to, make this kind of the first time where Spidey being in high school is actually kind of like a plot point instead of just a setting.
Yeah.
And they even picked the actor who was, he's 19 and he looks like he could be 15. So I think they're actually wanting to do high school Spider-Man for a while.
Yeah.
Probably for at least 2 films or so.
Did they say in this article? So I've read somewhere that they're looking at maybe freshman year.
Yeah, super young Spider-Man.
So he would be about 15, 16 depending on when he started school, but most likely right around 15.
Kevin Feige his whole interpretation of this and why they wanted to make Spider-Man as young as he is, because they're trying to make a contrasting character to the Avengers, because all the Avengers are any of the Avengers actors younger than 35? Most of them are in their 40s.
Yeah.
So they're trying to go off the wall a little bit with this. So.
I see what you did there. Off the wall crawler a little bit. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. The only thing I worry about, and I don't know why I worry since it's Kevin Feige and the MCU, because they have yet to do anything that I can shit on. But I hear the words Spider-Man and I hear the words soap opera, and I immediately get all the images of Tobey Maguire fucking crying in my head, and I'm just like, no, not again. I can't do this again.
Well, at least it's not Tobey Maguire as 45-year-old crying Spider-Man this time. At least it's actually a kid. that's one good. Yeah, but I mean, it's Kevin Feige, man.
I know.
They made fucking,
I shouldn't worry.
They made fucking Guardians of the Galaxy work and made it huge. So I think they're going to do just fine with Spider-Man. He also said in the same article that the focus is going to be on never before seen on-screen villains. So thank God, I don't want to see them just retread out Goblin, Doc Ock, Well, I would actually like them to retread Venom because he wasn't even in that movie.
Yeah. Well, technically that puts Carnage on the table, and you can't do that without Venom.
Yeah, they would have to do Venom before Carnage.
And with as young as he is, I mean, God knows how many Spider-Man movies they could make. Probably just as many as they can crank out as long as that deal with Sony holds. So, as long as they keep him white and heterosexual.
Yeah, that news article's so ridiculous. But the people I'm hoping for as far as the villains are, first of all, Mysterio. They can do some real interesting shit with Mysterio.
Yes.
and people that I haven't seen before. Craven, I think, would also be interesting. Really want to see.
You could bring in Man Spider. You bring in Craven.
Yeah,
because you've already got Punisher.
You can finally do, some of these villains I've been waiting a long time to see. I would like to see them, maybe wait a few films to, get a little farther away from Spider-Man 3, but I would like to see them do, maybe do Venom and Carnage together at the same time. They could make that work.
I would really like to see, just because it's Kevin Feige in the MCU, I'd really love to see what they do with, say, the Vulture.
Yeah.
Which, thank God we dodged that bullet. That was going to be the next Sam Raimi villain. But I'd like to see that, and maybe eventually bring in Black Cat.
Yeah, they were on the verge of doing maybe something with that in the Garfield movies, but then it got axed. So
unfortunately,
we'll see. And we had one more Spider-Man news article, and that was that Marissa Tomei has been cast as Aunt May. And you were kind of not so much on this one.
Well, no, I think we started to talk about this, and then we got distracted somehow. And what I was going to say is, when I first heard that, I was just kind of like, really? Because, of course, in my mind, I still think my cousin Vinny, and that's kind of the image I always have of her, so she doesn't really age in my mind. But I was just kind of like, is she not old enough to be Aunt May? Aunt May is always portrayed as this little old lady.
Well, they made her a little younger in the Garfield movies.
But, you gotta think, also, if it's his aunt, then she'd have to be related to one of his parents in some way, so she can't be too much older than what his parents would be. And if he's 15, but I know she's older than what I think she is, but I still think of like the Tobey Maguire Aunt May, because that was basically the Aunt May straight out of the animated series.
Typically in the comics, which was what they were replicating, is she is looks like she's in her 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
But what was the name of the actress who played her in the Garfield movies? But she was dramatically younger. She was more portrayed like in her 50s.
Yeah,
which is, I think Marissa Tomei is actually in her 50s now. Yeah. So it works. And
so, but I think she'll be good.
Yeah, I mean,
especially if she's anything like my cousin Vinny, or I really want to say she's in 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, but I may be wrong.
We'll
see.
You
need to watch that.
We'll see. They've been so good at their casting. Where, I mean, she's a freaking Oscar-winning actress. It's pretty ridiculous. They're able to pull in for something as insignificant. Well,
in a world where Winona Ryder is Spock's mom.
Yeah, anything's on the table.
Anything's on the table for aunts and mothers.
That was so odd. Why they went out of their way. It's we want Winona Ryder so bad, we're going to make her look old.
I kept waiting for her to look in a mirror and start saying Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. But
yeah, I mean,
maybe she wouldn't have fallen.
Beetlejuice saves her.
Yep. That's the Star Trek movie I would write.
That's Star Trek Beyond, man. Fucking Beetlejuice. That movie sounds way more interesting than that movie's actually going to be.
Oh, man.
In other Marvel news...
Another Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. In other Marvel news, we had a little bit of Marvel TV news, and that is that we finally have our Elektra.
I fucking knew they would do Elektra next. We had Punisher, Elektra, and Bullseye that needed to be cast. And after the shitstorm that was going around for a little bit about Bullseye and the Jason Statham comments and all that, I just knew Bullseye would be the last one cast. So we've got Punisher and we've got Elektra now. Elektra is, I don't know, I have no fucking clue. Elodie Young?
Elodie Young.
Like Melody, but Elodie?
Yeah. That's my guess, but we probably have butchered all of these names.
Oh, I'm fucking sure. That's not how you say Daredevil, you prick. But yeah, so does this say? Oh yeah, G.I. Joe Retaliation, which I never saw, and District 13 Ultimatum, which I never saw.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I have no clue what that is.
The cool thing is that she actually looks like Elektra. She doesn't look like frickin' Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner, I don't know. I mean, you're probably not familiar with it because you never read the comics, and Elektra hasn't ever really, been out there that much. But she is 100% Greek. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer Garner does not look Greek even a little bit,
Yeah. But
she, they've been really, really good about with the Daredevil stuff, like, man, everyone not only acts perfectly, but they like even look the part too.
Right.
She really looks the part.
I mean, she looks like I would totally buy her as Elektra just from looking at her. So, again, Marvel casting, it's going to be solid. That's all I have to say about it.
Daredevil season 2, give me it now.
Right. Bullseye. I mean, there's no fucking way to predict who they're gonna cast.
I know,
as Bullseye.
and we never be able to predict it. But then once they pick the person, it's going to be someone.
Of
it's
course.
going to be John Berthal again, where you're like, really? I never thought of
I was going to say John Berthal is going to be both Punisher and Bullseye. Plot twist. It was the same dude all along.
John Berthal, if they did that whole bullseye scar on his forehead, dude, he'd be an intimidating looking fucker, man.
Yeah, he would. That would be fucking intense.
Yeah, which they're not going to do that again, because that was one of the things people hated about their Bullseye was the whole forehead brand thing. Like, that did not go over well with comic fans.
I don't know. I'm not that attached to Bullseye, so I was fine with it.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone hated it.
I definitely knew who he was every time I saw him. So it's like
Colin Farrell and his crazy ass eyebrows in that movie. God, he was insane in that movie. But yeah, so you maybe even Comic-Con. Right? Is Marvel associated with Comic-Con even a little bit, or is everything?
I don't believe so.
So maybe they'll wait for like their little Disney conference.
Yeah, I think it's going to be D23 because as far as I know. That I can remember, if there is anything Marvel property-wise, I mean, Marvel Comics is going to be there, but as far as the MCU goes, it'll be like independent studios that are involved in something or something like that. There's not going to be like an MCU panel or anything. So we'll find that out at D23. Star Wars is the only Disney property at all, I believe, that's going.
Yeah, it looks like they wanted something there.
Yeah, when they first announced that Star Wars wasn't even going in the original posts.
I'm worried they're not going to be able to leak that Star Wars footage because, JJ
every event they have done a special trailer or special footage for that particular event. So I'm really curious what Comic-Con's going to be.
Yeah, maybe finally they'll start actually showing that shit, to the world on the internet currently, because they've always been so. Because
people who leak anything Star Wars ends up dead in a ditch, Jeff. You know this. Yeah,
shot by J.J. Abrams himself. but like that Batman v Superman trailer, that little teaser that they showed, that teaser in and of itself never got aired. If you didn't see it, that couple of days you saw that leaked footage. Yeah, that exact teaser never got shown again. Everything else was like a different version, because they actually show them staring off near the bat symbol. So who knows? Maybe they'll actually be cooler about it this time, because I'm always glued to my computer once those things start hitting, because you gotta watch it as soon as you can, or they take that shit down. By the
time this episode's up, the internet's gonna be flooded with Comic-Con news. So we are recording on the 8th right now, so it's either starting tonight or tomorrow. So Thursday the 9th, I believe, is the official start, but pre-conferences and everything. That does it for the TV news, because that was, I guess, anything and everything TV is waiting for Comic-Con.
Or just not happening because it's the middle of the summer.
Yeah, there's probably going to be Flash and Arrow stuff and everything there.
Wait, what is this?
No fucking Constantine.
What is this Arrow you speak of?
That may be what we're asking when season 4 starts.
Oh, they finally doing Arrow season 3? Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening. They've announced Arrow season 3.
Can we please create those Men in Black devices? I would love the first thing
Neuralizer.
First thing the Neuralizer comes out, Arrow season 3, fucking gone. But we're gonna move on to some gaming news. We actually have gaming news.
Speaking of fucking gone. I hope you weren't in the market for a steam machine, Jeff. It sounds like something I'm going to clean my carpets with. This sorry.
This is a pretty terrible name, honestly. Here's my thing. Why would you even really want a steam machine? Because, I mean...
Isn't that a PC?
No, what it is, it's a PC without all of the functions that make it a PC. It's as far as I know, you can still operate Steam on a computer that does all of your regular shit, right?
Yeah.
So why the hell would you want a condensed down... I don't get it. And also that weird ass controller.
Is what I was about to say. It looks like it's staring at me. It's like an owl.
It looks more like a ViewMaster than it does a controller.
It really does.
This is I don't get
not
it. This is
shitting on PC gaming or Steam at all, folks, but I don't understand the Steam machine.
And if you're a PC gamer, you're making bank saving all that money on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not talking bad on Steam at all. It's a great service. But why you wouldn't just play it on your computer like normal?
And you always have backwards compatibility, right? So
this whole thing just makes no fucking sense to me. Not only that, but I believe they had like 12 different models.
Yeah. That's the thing that gets me. I think the idea was to try to sway console gamers. Because the Steam OS, last I heard, which was when it was first announced and in beta, because I had the beta for it, Steam OS, last I heard, was going to be free. So if you have like a Linux machine or whatever that you play on, or you want to do a dual operating system install, have you used much of Steam?
Very little.
Have you seen the big picture mode? I can show you when we're done recording.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Basically, it goes full screen, and it looks like the PlayStation interface and stuff like that. It works kind of that same way. That's basically SteamOS is the big picture mode. An entire operating system of that. And you can use a controller or the keyboard, whatever you want, to cycle through the menus and stuff. But to me, it looks like an attempt to just try to sway hardcore console gamers over to Steam, which there's a big market there for them to tap. But
this was, to me, an asinine approach to doing so. And What's weird about it is if they had made like a competitively priced Steam machine that was like, let's say $350 or $400, about the same as the Xbox One or PS4.
Right.
But that's not what they did. They have like 12 different versions, and the cheapest one is like $700.
Uh-huh.
So if you're trying to sway over a console gamer who is already deep into the consoles, it's like, am I going to buy a $400 PS4 or a condensed down PC which only runs Steam that's more expensive than a computer?
Right.
Like, nothing makes sense.
With a fucking weird-ass ViewMaster controller.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, but we spent too much time talking about the Steam machine.
If you're actually interested, it's the first wave of pre-orders that sold out.
Must be all Steam fanboys going after
it was October 16th, I guess, was the date for that one. Then it does say here, though, that apparently Alienware has their version of the Steam machine. Apparently that one is still available for pre-order deal. I don't know. I don't really understand. I can understand Steam OS. I can understand Steam. I have Steam. I have games on Steam. We still never played Freddy's 3.
That would be a good Let's Play.
That would be. That was the day. I bought that, the day Freddy's 3 came out. We never played it.
Imagine that. We didn't play a video game.
Our
whole E3 podcast was basically just us saying,
never played it.
We never play video games, guys.
Never played it. But this game came out. Never played it.
But speaking of gaming consoles coming out, we actually have a report of the Nintendo NX.
Good Lord, Jeff.
And it's coming out in July of 2016, reportedly. Which, I actually put this on our Twitter. R.I.P. Wii U. It's going bye-bye.
Yeah, so the really insane part of this article, not just that they're already going to kick out a new console that is definitely going to get renamed. That's the working name for it, is the NX, the code name.
Yeah, God forbid it have a cool name.
It's probably going to be like Wii U 2 or something. But the crazy thing in it, and I want to find it in this article before I say it because I'm saying it off the top of my head. Where did I read that they think they can push? Yeah. During its first year, they're expecting to push 20 million units.
I think they've sold 25 Wii U's, so that's a bit of a stretch goal in comparison.
From what I read, it took longer than that for the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, good luck with that,
million.
Nintendo.
So,
good luck with that. They'll be lucky to push 7 or 8.
Yeah, their marketing. They market shit as if they are, say, Apple. But Apple has the clout to market shit the way they do. Not Nintendo. Not anymore. Like, and then what I'm referring to is we have the DS, and then we go to the 3DS, and no one bought it because I thought it was a 3D version of the DS, when in fact it was an entirely new handheld with new equipment, new graphics, new everything. But since it was called the 3DS, no one fucking bought it. Then what happened when the new 3DS came out after that one? They named it the new 3DS.
Brilliant.
Well, just like Apple can call their new iPad the new iPad, which they did once, and it fucking sold because it was Apple. But Nintendo, people that can afford an iPad are not the people that are probably buying your products anymore.
I get the impression the Nintendo higher-ups still have the same mindset in 2015 they did in like 1995, where they could get away with this shit. To where if they put out
this Nintendo is so super, it is the Super Nintendo.
How like what you're talking about? Like Apple's a good comparison because Apple knows they can put out whatever the fuck they want and it's going to sell because it has Apple on it.
Nintendo has lost that.
Nintendo has definitely lost that. I mean, look at this. Like, the sales alone on the Wii U show them that they're wrong.
I want to say GameCube is probably the last time they're able to do that, and that's probably even a stretch from there. Nintendo 64 is probably the last major sell, but. Fucking, like, Wii U, they did it again. Everyone just thought it was a Wii with a tablet. No one knew it was a new console.
And
especially the people that they market to. People like you and me, even though we don't play video games, and people that do play video games, probably realized that it was a new console and probably followed the press releases. But the people they market to, and they, for some reason, have stuck very strongly to this. And it's good that they have this market, but it's bad for them business-wise, is the casual gamers and the elderly with the Wii Bowling and all the Wii Sports and family games. That is all they have stuck to. And those people do not religiously follow gaming. Gaming is not their religion. So when they hear Wii U, they're like, oh, well, I already have a Wii. I don't need a tablet for my Wii.
Yeah, the reason that those same people you're talking about got a Wii was because it was so drastically weird and different in comparison to gaming consoles in general, and that's what it made it work, because it was almost like a little weird off-put idea.
I'm trying to think. It's not, the word I'm looking for is not fad. It's
gimmicky.
No, not even gimmicky, because that has kind of a negative connotation to it, and it's not really innovative because it could have been, but they dropped the ball on it. Nintendo lately has not been tapping their hardware potential. Like oh, look at all these great things it can do, and then they don't tap any of the things that it can do. So
Nintendo's a very fucking weird company. Like they still make me scratch my head all the time.
I know. I don't get it.
And I think we've probably said it before at some point, but I am of the opinion that within 10 years there will still be handheld Nintendo devices.
Oh, God.
Because overseas they crush, and they're like the most popular thing.
Oh, even here, a lot of people still religiously have their handhelds kill.
But not their, I think, probably this NX, and then maybe they'll probably get one more after the NX, whatever the fuck it ends up being called, and then I think that'll be it. I think they will not have any more consoles. Thinking. But I mean, apparently those rumors of that have reached Nintendo, because it's either in this press release or a different one that I saw. They said no, their consoles are not dead, and they are still very much alive, and they plan to be making consoles for a very long time. And I'm sorry, for how many years you've been operating in the red now? Didn't they just recently, when they had a bunch of games break all at once, they had what was it? They had like Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers and all kinds of major Nintendo titles break Star
all
Fox
at once.
Coming out.
Well, no, the ones that did come out.
Oh, okay.
Star Fox was announced, but it hasn't come out yet. But they had a bunch of titles that were anticipated that are
Donkey Kong. That was the one that came out.
So and all those finally came out, and that was like the first time in a long time that they showed profit. And it's just mind-boggling to me that they think they're still doing so well.
Well, what they're probably doing is looking at their total revenue, and they're making bank off the mobile shit. So maybe they just don't realize how bad. Because, like, man.
And speaking of mobile, they're moving into mobile gaming.
Yeah,
casual gaming.
they're actually putting more of an emphasis on that. But yeah, one of the other things to come out about this was Nintendo has said they are going to continue to support the Wii U following the next launch. Good, okay, because
two things about that. One, that's straight out of your goddamn right department, because you can't put out a console and then immediately turn around and throw another one out before that one's even done, before it even has any games. It came out what did we say, 2009?
What?
No, not 2009, not that long
ago. The Wii U? The Wii U came out 2012.
2012.
3 years old.
So, we were looking up something else, 2009. 2009 stuck in my head. 2012, that came out. So, 3 years ago, they released a console. Not even 3 years yet. It's November, I believe. Will be 3 years. And now they have announced their next one that's coming out next year. So this console will have been out 4 years. Still doesn't have any fucking games. And
well, it has like 4 or 5. It averages about one game worth owning a year.
Yeah, so to say they're going to put out a new console and then to come out and say, but of course we will be continuing support of the Wii U 3DS. You goddamn better be. You just put this console out. And then the second thing about this, yeah, right. You're putting out a whole nother console because the Wii U isn't doing shit for you.
The NX, if they plan to continue supporting the Wii U in any way, shape, or form, this console wouldn't exist that they're making.
The only way I could see that would be if its hardware was so similar to the Wii U that they could put out the game for both consoles, and then why would you get the NX?
Or if the NX, since they've been so mysterious about what it is if it's not your typical Nintendo console, and if it's like a VR thing. If it's decidedly different, then I could see, like if it's just a VR type thing, then I could see them continuing the Wii U because it's a different type of, beast you're dealing with.
I hope it's not VR.
I think it very well could be, but
because then it really will involve Viewmaster in some way if it's Nintendo VR, because they've all been about price point. I mean, they had the cheapest console. Was the Wii U cheaper than the Xbone and the PS4?
I believe.
I love that we shit on the Xbox One every chance we get.
I believe that now you can get a Wii U for like $300. I want to say, what was it, $400 when it launched, or $350? I want to say it was pretty pricey.
Not in comparison to the PS4 and the Xbox One, though.
What do you mean?
What were they when they launched?
The PS4, they were both $400.
Oh, were they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was thinking they were like closer to $600 for some reason.
No, like the PS3 launched at like $600 or $700.
Yeah, it did.
But no, that was one of the biggest things about the PS4 was that it was launching at $400. I think originally, actually, God, it's been so long ago since all of that Expo and PS4 war was going down.
Yeah.
Near E3 when they were launched. But I want to say originally, I could be totally wrong, so don't quote me on this. I want to say originally the Xbox One was actually more expensive because of the Kinect thing they were pushing.
It was like $100 more than the PlayStation.
Then they got rid of the Kinect because they finally wised up and got rid of that piece of shit
when it was way too late.
Yeah. And they got it down to the same price at $400. Then they cut it down further to try and catch up. So I think now the Xbox One is like $350. But yeah, I could be wrong about the Nintendo prices because I've never really been interested in buying one.
I know that the Wii was like $250 or $300 when it first came out. Like they just totally. Well, their whole plan was nothing but market penetration.
Well, the Wii U launch was just idiotic because they released that the year before the PS4 and Xbox One. And what happens is if you launch before those other things come out and you have Star Fox and Donkey Kong and Zelda ready to go, you're going to do just fine. Dude. But they released it that year before those other competing consoles came out, and they had no Wii U games to play. They had like Zombie U and just a bunch of garbage.
Yeah. And what I don't understand is, and I'm most likely wrong on this, and I'm sure someone in the comments is going to correct me.
Comments. You're funny.
Yeah.
That'd be me. Like, you're full of shit, Ron.
Hey, we got subscribers on YouTube. Like 2, 3 if we count you. I didn't even fucking subscribe. I didn't subscribe to our own podcast. But
sad again.
I want to say, at least off the top of my head, I cannot come up with a Nintendo console that did not have a Zelda game on launch date. Maybe the GameCube, but you can bet Zelda was right behind. I know there's several that only had one Zelda title, but I want to say all of them were either on launch day or right fucking near it.
And they had just gone through a launch clusterfuck of the 3DS. The 3DS...
2012. we still don't have a Zelda game for the Wii U.
Well, yeah, not like your typical Zelda game. Like I think they had like Hyrule Warriors, but that's not really.
Yeah, that's Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah,
is what
that's a Zelda skin game.
Yeah,
but it's not
Dynasty Warriors with a Zelda skin.
Yeah, but I mean, shit. We've shat on Nintendo so much this episode. We should probably move on to the next game.
Someone needs to just fucking grab them by the collar and shake them until they wake up. It might as well be you and me since no one's listening.
Yeah, let's go to jail. Fuck it. Let's go tag Nintendo. You guys need to wake the fuck up. But in gaming news we actually care about, that is the announcement, quote unquote, I don't know what you call it, of Last of Us 2, I mean by that is that Nolan North, the famous voice of Nathan Drake, he's been in pretty much every Naughty Dog game they've done, was being interviewed, and he was like, yeah, I know Last of Us 2 is a thing, they're doing that. Officially
making him a Naughty Dog. Oh yeah, if you can't see it, Jeff just facepalmed.
There goes our 3 YouTube subscribers.
Even you, Jeff?
You can't.
Don't leave, Jeff. Come back.
I have exited the studio. So they've all been hush-hush on Last of Us 2. Even Troy Baker, he was the main voice in the first one, was like, they haven't told me shit, man. And then fucking Nolan North is being interviewed. He's like, yeah, I know they're doing Last of Us 2, but I don't give a shit. And I'll announce that shit.
Interviewer's jaw immediatly dropped.
What are they gonna do? Fire me? I'm Nathan Drake, bitch. That's like his whole reaction.
Interviewer's like, I just got fucking promoted. And I want to point out this news article kind of follows all of the Last of Us 2 rumors. What is it with this trend of video game developers running out and updating their LinkedIn profiles before a game is even fucking announced? What was that, Fallout 4 that did that?
Fallout 4, fucking dude got fired because he leaked it.
Some dude did that with Last of Us 2 as well.
On the heels of hearing about that guy get fired for it, you go and do the exact same thing.
And you know the guy that got fired for that? Everyone knows his name. He's never going to work in the video game industry again. So
this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Not only would you do that in the first place, but you do it after it was just a big news story.
Yeah.
Like, what a freaking idiot. But, I mean, we're dwelling on the negative a little bit, but Last of Us 2, fuck yes, one of my favorite games of all time. You still need to finish it, fucker. Ron has like 5 hours left of The Last of Us for like a year and a half, and you've spent 3 months of gameplay in Diablo 3, and I can't get you to finish. I fucking give up. You enjoy your Diablo 3. I'll wait for The Last of Us 2.
First thing I said when this article broke was, maybe I should finish Last of Us.
Fucking bad for my blood pressure is what this podcast is.
Hey, it's called There Will Be Expletives. We got to get them somehow.
God damn it.
There we go. See, it works. My methodology pays off.
But yeah, Last of Us was a freaking genius game for those who actually bothered to finish it. and I cannot wait.
Speaking of finishing games...
wait, we actually finished a game? We finished a game.
No, well, we did, but I wasn't referring to us. I was referring to WB Games Montreal. Hopefully this one is ready to go. They are doing the first...
Origins was more ready to go than the ARKHAM Knight PC version. I mean, at least it loaded.
Dude, I think when that news broke about the ARKHAM Knight PC version, Ubisoft just went... whoosh, like, all the spotlight is off of us in Unity.
Yeah, nuts. Like, people are still pissed about Unity, though. Like,
yeah.
At least you could play ARKHAM Knight on the other consoles. Unity was broken everywhere.
Well, not just that. Yeah. People that bought it on PC, they got their money back.
Yeah, fucking Ubisoft sure as hell didn't offer that for the broken-ass Unity.
Oh, no, we already have your money, bitch.
A patch is coming that's going to make it where you only fall through the map, half as often. Assholes.
So, speaking of falling through the map, where I was going with all of this, WB Games Montreal is developing, and it's the only part of the ARKHAM Knight DLC that they are developing, our first DLC for ARKHAM Knight, which is BATGIRL. And I gotta say, her costume for Batgirl, looks pretty damn good.
She looks actually pretty menacing for...
Yes, she does. I would be fucking terrified of that if I was in Gotham.
Because usually Batgirl is just kind of like crappy Robin. I mean,
yeah.
She's usually... I mean...
No, this is fucking Batwoman. You do not fucking mess with her.
I love Oracle.
Yes.
I freaking love the character of Oracle, but I've never been a big Batgirl fan. But yeah, like you said, like she actually looks pretty intimidating, which is, man, how good are the Arkham character designers?
Oh, I know.
Everyone looks so awesome.
Everyone.
Especially the villain redesigns are usually really
dude,
cool.
The villains are fantastic. Which, can I just take a moment to thank them for Two-Face in that game?
It's pretty incredible.
As much as I love Two-Face as a villain, he was a major part of 1 and 2. And then, like, part of the main plot devoted to in 2 games. And then the way that they did him in Arkham Knight, I thought was pretty awesome because it was still true to the character, still looked like the character, but he wasn't that big of a deal to take down. I think he was one of the first people I took down in that map before I took down the other goons.
Yeah.
So, you know, I appreciated the inclusion of him, but not making him like fighting fucking Titan Jack's Joker or something. But yeah, so WB Games Montreal is developing this. It's the first one, and that's going to be released for Arkham Knight. It's the only one they're doing, and I'm trying to look. July 14th is the release date. That's why I pulled this article up. So
is that next week? Like, it's actually pretty damn soon.
Yeah, it's 1 week from today. So we're recording on the 8th, so it should be next Wednesday.
I just don't know if I want to drop that $40 for the season pass because I love that game, but I kind of want to wait and see, you know, how the reaction is to the DLC.
What does £5 translate to? It's £5.79 for this DLC if you're buying it a la carte.
Typically, it's
probably around
$10. Isn't that usually what they make the individual DLCs?
That's what I was thinking, about $8 to $10 probably.
Or like right at like $9.99 American or some shit like that.
What the fuck was this article written that it's in? Anyways, but yeah, oh fuck, I was looking all over the article for the release date, right in the fucking name of the article.
It's a gigantic ass bold font right above it.
That's the kind of podcast we are, Jeff.
The best kind.
The best kind.
The best kind at sucking. That's what we are.
We planned this for a whole 20 minutes before we jumped on the mic type.
And you're talking about WB Games Montreal, and you know they're famous for doing Arkham, or infamous for doing Arkham Origins to some people. But where
else can you be Batman and beat a guy through the fucking map? I beat you into the earth, bitch.
I broke the one rule. And they have been reported as their next game not being a Batman game, which makes me a little sad because people love shitting on Arkham Origins. I actually thought it was a really good game.
They didn't shit on it some people did for the story because they thought it was more of the same. I thought it was a pretty cool story.
I thought it was the best story of the first 3 games they made.
Yeah, until Arkham Knight came and just blew everything out of the water. But this is because Arkham Knight is the Dark Knight Rises we should have got. But yeah, no, Arkham Origins, story-wise, I know everything was real solid. Voice actors were solid. I loved
really cool plot twists.
Yeah, really cool plot twists. The only thing for me was I ran into, I think, more glitches than you did. I think you got pretty fucking lucky.
I got incredibly lucky because I only had like one guy fall through a map like the entire game.
The fact that you could even be proud of that. There was only one, and one only.
And what was it? You couldn't finish the Deadshot mission.
No,
right?
I beat him into the staircase, and I couldn't get him out of the fucking staircase, and I broke the one rule, I guess, because he was just gone, and it said it was completed, but it was completed at 0%, and I could never, it would never let me do anything.
Yeah, that's really aggravating. I mean, okay, I get that it's totally unforgivable releasing a broken ass game, which was most people 9 times out of 10. I was like the one who didn't really have any glitches happen.
Yeah,
but I could totally see why people shit on it for that. But the storyline was good.
So far as to say it was bugged. At least some people had a lot worse experience than either one of us did. But I wouldn't go so far as to say it was as it was broken, but it was definitely bugged.
Very buggy. Yeah. Like Unity was broken.
Yeah, Unity.
Arkham Knight PC is broken. That wasn't that
Arkham
bad.
Knight PC no longer exists. They've completely pulled it from the market and everything until they get it fixed.
But yeah, they're working on a new open world action game.
So that definitely makes me feel like Arkham Origins-ish, like combat style and everything being similar, but no idea what they could be doing, because
what they should do is make people following through the map like the primary way of gameplay. Then they are golden.
Rocksteady is the one that everyone is thinking is doing like Justice League or Superman or something of that nature.
Flash. Fingers crossed. That's
Flash.
what I want.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors about Flash. So I don't know what the fuck WB Games Montreal could be doing.
I don't know. It raises, good questions for Batman too, because I always thought this was a studio that was going to be continuing.
Take up the mantle.
That was going to be continuing Batman.
Take up the cowl.
Yeah, that was going to be continuing Batman after Rocksteady, but then they're gone. I don't know who the hell is going to be doing Batman, because there is going to be Batman.
WB Games Montreal, you were our Nightwing.
Those games,
dude. What if it's a Nightwing game,
dude?
And it's in Bloodhaven, open world Bloodhaven.
It's probably not going to happen, but oh my god, I would geek out.
Well, you take one step, you'll fall through Bloodhaven.
But yeah, because that was always my mindset was, these guys are going to continue doing because no matter what time frame it happens in, we're going to have Arkham games, because those games make a shit ton of fucking money, and it's Batman.
Here's the official description of the title, which has no title. WB Games Montreal's website describes it as, and then quote, a passionate development team developing a DC Comics focused AAA game that involve, I'm going to assume, and celebrates the legendary brands of Warner Brothers.
Then what they should have done was just make a Pitfall remake.
They did. It was called Arkham Origins. So
Arkham Origins
Batman
is Pitfall remastered.
No, we've been shitting on that, but we actually really liked that game, and if you haven't played it because you've heard it was buggy, play it. I promise you.
Yeah, because the story is amazing, so if they have the bugs figured out, it's like a badass game. There's no reason you shouldn't.
And
by
now, a long time ago, there should have been a Game of the Year edition, so you should be able to play as Deathstroke and
get all and it actually works.
And it actually works. We have all the patches that have been released and everything. So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to, so I said I want Flash. Who do you want as the next Rocksteady character or characters?
I think Justice League.
You just want to go straight to Justice League
with Arkham Knight with the dual control in the middle of combat.
That's a big
stuff.
hint that what's to come.
Could you imagine what they already did between Robin and Batman or Catwoman and Batman? Imagine that Batman throwing a guy to Superman, or Superman dropping a guy to the fucking Flash. To finish off.
My idea has always been for Justice League is to pretty much make Mass Effect style. You have a team of 3. That way it doesn't ever get redonkulous. You don't actually have all 7 or whatever. But you have a team of 3.
You're fighting my army of gods.
And what you can do is you can choose your team, and you can pinpoint it for the mission. I'm always going to have Batman on my team, of course. But it'd be cool to switch out. This mission I want Green Lantern instead of Superman.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun. You actually pinpointing how you want to do your mission and how you want to set up your team, and you can do upgrades for each person, just like Mass Effect. It'd be really, really cool. So. We talked about before off mic. Whoever they do, it'd be fucking Plastic Man. I'm gonna play it. I don't give a shit. It's Rocksteady, man. But yeah, I think that's actually a wrap up of our gaming news, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all the news. So Terminator reviews next on the slate.
So yeah,
now that we're 72 minutes into the
point
podcast.
we said lightning round, and
I don't know what happened, dude. There was no lightning.
I think there were a lot of Nintendo expletives.
Yeah, Nexpletives. That's it. The Nintendo Nexpletive. That's exactly what I'm going to start calling that fucker now.
The Nexpletive.
The NX is the Nexpletive. That's what NX is short for. It has to be.
You've cracked the code.
The Nintendo code. Nexpletive. I love it. I want to get hashtag Nexpletive trending.
Well, if you get it trending, maybe throw in a little TWBE plug. We could use the hits. But yeah, we're actually gonna 3 hours into our podcast, we're gonna do our 3-hour review of Terminator Genisys.
So grab the Red
Bull. Hooray! We're gonna start off with a spoiler-free discussion.
I hope you're commuting an hour away. If you're listening. Yeah, I doubt you are. Or not.
If they were, they gave up a long
I don't even subscribe to this thing, so I can actually expect them to. I do on iTunes. I just don't on YouTube. Okay, get over it, Jeff.
Way to be supportive. All right, and we're going to start the Terminator Genisys review. And spoiler free, we'll tell you when to quit listening. Not that we can't say that without fucking laughing now.
Oh God,
but
yes.
Opening thoughts. Movie's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a hell of a lot of fun with Terminator Genisys. Actually, a lot more than I thought I was going to, because
fuck ton more than I thought.
Good lord, were people going?
I've been shitting on this movie since it was announced.
Humble brag. Humble brag.
I was the first to shit on this movie. Everyone else is a poser.
Later on, we're going to go into detail about how we hate movie critics shitting on the movie. Ron has been shitting on the movie for months before it even released. Just going to throw that out there. But spoiler-free discussion. Our first topic to talk about was a note by Ron, and that was that the director's goal was to remake/reimagine the first one.
That's what really killed my hopes for this movie, because that told me that we're just going to take the first Terminator movie and add to it.
Khaleesi, bitch.
Yeah, and I just was like, I don't know about that. And I don't know that they successfully accomplished that. But it was better than I thought it was going to be. Did you feel like that they successfully re-envisioned the first Terminator?
Okay, what I should start off by saying is that I really like the first Terminator. I love Terminator 2.
Oh, dude, that's just about everybody's favorite. It's still hailed as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, action movie of all time.
Probably my favorite action movie I think I've ever seen. 'Cause,
yeah.
Dude, Arnold swinging the shotgun, cocking it on the bike. I want to go watch it right now. It's a fucking awesome movie. But I think it was successful in remake/reimagining it, because what I added with the notes is that to me this really paralleled the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
And that's kind of what they were trying to do. Because if you think about it, it actually makes more sense in the Terminator universe. I get that Star Trek explores science and science fiction and different ways it can be applied. But time travel has always...
It's the crux of the movie
exactly.
franchise.
Without the notion of time travel, there is no Terminator franchise. So it makes a lot of sense to try to reboot within the same universe and still acknowledge that the other movies exist, the other movies happened. And
I actually thought that they could have done a hell of a lot worse job.
Yeah, they could have.
Because I'm going to say this right now. This movie had 4 time travel elements, and it's more coherent than fucking Age of Ultron.
Yeah, it is.
That's an accomplishment right there, because this movie very easily could have been a goddamn catastrophe once you start doing time travel shit and you're not really paying attention to your script. It can get out of hand.
Oh yeah,
like you're talking about. And I actually thought they did a really good job, because what this was it was kind of a remake/reimagine, but obviously they have to change stuff because that's the point of it, how it works.
You can't just remake the first one.
But what they did was, I didn't feel like they took a shit on it, like they very easily could have by remaking it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the impression I get is I like this movie more than you did, but did you feel they kind of took a shit on it at any point? I actually thought it was kind of clever the way they redid the first ones.
I thought, what they kind of did was kind of clever, and there's some pretty iconic scenes from the first Terminator that they actually recreated. It wasn't like archive footage or anything. They actually got other actors and
put a twist on them usually.
And put a twist on it.
We don't want to spoil the moments, but
we're not there yet. But I was just gonna say they took some iconic moments from the first one and remanufactured them for the movie, and I think they paid homage to it pretty good. But I don't think it was successful, and I don't necessarily mean that negatively, because I probably would not have appreciated it if they did completely successfully re-envision the first one. Because to me, when I hear that the director's words were that we wanted to take the first one and reimagine it and reinvent it, and the goal was to literally take the storyline of the first one and just kind of play with it, that kind of pissed me off. And
it wasn't really what happened, though. They didn't really do that.
It doesn't really feel like the first one at all.
Okay, my impression of this movie was it wasn't a remake slash reimagining.
There's probably about 5 or 10 minutes of the movie that feels like the first one, and that's about it.
Yeah, like it wasn't really a remake of Terminator 1 to me.
Yeah.
Like what it felt like was almost like an amalgamation of Terminator 1 and 2 put together. Because what it is, how it felt to me, and probably why I liked it so much, was it was kind of like a twist in the events of Terminator 1 in the tone of Terminator 2.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Which I really, really enjoyed, because my favorite tone for Terminator was always the second one, because they actually had some comedic elements, and it was a fun movie. It was a great action movie.
It was Arnold's best performance in a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't seen some of his post-Governator movies.
Most of them terrible.
Last Stand, I heard some good things about, even from critics. Not story-wise or anything, but just the amount of action and the way the action was shot and the way it was done. I always kind of wanted to see it. I never did. But yeah, I don't know. All the performances really paid off.
Yeah, like you said, though, I agree. I think that was probably Arnold's best performance in about 20 years. Mid-90s. We're talking T2 Commando time. Probably the last time he was that likable in a movie, because he was incredibly likable in that movie.
I read one critic's review that said the last time that they thought Arnold really did that good, and the last time his name really drew in a crowd, is probably Eraser, and that's probably about right. What was that, 1996?
Yeah, I was going to say 97. It's in that range,
something
somewhere
like that.
A long ass time.
Yeah, so almost 20 years. 2016's next year. So, yeah, no. Khaleesi, how'd you feel she did in her first major motion picture?
I thought she did great. Probably the most important thing she did, and what was the hardest thing for her to do, was made me forget at times I was watching Khaleesi.
Right.
Because what happens when these unknown actors hit their first role, and it's huge, like her role in Game of Thrones,
get out of that role.
What happens is Daniel Radcliffe syndrome. No matter what the hell Daniel Radcliffe does for the rest of his life, he is Harry Potter forever.
Yes.
And for Khaleesi to be able to make me forget for half the movie I'm watching Khaleesi is a great achievement, because that's.
I was going to say, forget in a good way or forget in a bad way?
Forget in a good way, like
oh yeah, she was Khaleesi. Oh fuck, she's Khaleesi. Like, which one?
I think in a good way, because that means I'm buying her performance,
right?
And also, we talked about this a little bit off mic. I can usually pick up when actors slip their accents. Never once did I hear her accent slip. So she's actually really good at doing the American accent.
Well, one thing about HBO is they don't get bad actors.
Yeah,
usually.
That's true.
If you're a bad actor, you do not end up on HBO.
Even the kids.
If you do, you do not stay very long.
The kids on the HBO shows are usually better than most adults and other shit, dude. Dude, think about this. On the CW, most of the actors aren't as good as the kids in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty sad. They get their quality, man. What did you think of Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese?
One thing that was definitely different, that I know this is nitpicking. I know this is just me being me, but fuck you, Jeff. You're supposed to accept me for who I am.
I don't.
I still fucking don't. A buff Kyle Reese was kind of awkward.
This is so nitpicky.
I'm telling you, right?
It's an action movie, dude.
But if
here's
the thing. I can't help but make those comparisons when the fucking director says we're going to take Terminator 1 and remake it and re-envision it as we do. So,
well, you realize the reason Michael Biehn is, in that movie is because they couldn't exactly get,
They had a $6 million budget.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they spent it all on the machines.
I do like how I'm asking about his performance. You're like, I think his bod was just too rockin' in this movie, and I just don't know if I appreciate a Kyle Reese with a six pack. But I actually thought he was pretty good.
Here's the thing. Again, and we're gonna have a fucking just rage explosion at critics at some point in this, I know. Because the critics really shat on this movie really bad. I just censored myself on a show called The Will Be Expletives. But they shit on this movie really hard. And one of the things that they said was that, I don't know how the hell do you say that? I got the Courtney part.
Jai Courtney.
Just Jai Courtney? What the fuck? Why do you have to have a name like that to be an actor or an actress? I don't understand why that's a requirement, having a name like that.
Because they're cooler than us, Ron.
But Jai Courtney. People tore him apart. And I didn't think he was bad. I don't know him. I don't know what he's from. He looked familiar. I've got IMDb up right here.
He was in the most recent Die Hard, which I haven't seen. Which, if he's bad in that, I don't fucking blame him, because that...
I hear a lot of bad things about that. I haven't seen it. See, I haven't seen Insurgent. I haven't seen Divergent. I haven't seen A Good Day to Die Hard. I haven't seen Jack Reacher.
He's
Suicide Squad. He's Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, he's Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad.
Maybe that's what...
I was just about to bring that up. But, okay... Here's the thing.
Oh, I Frankenstein. I bet that's what I've seen him in.
He was, I think, a pretty major character in Spartacus at some point.
Never saw it.
I didn't see it either. But
it has to be, because I just watched I Frankenstein, a month ago?
But with Jai Courtney in this movie, no, he's not Gary Oldman, but he's not bad enough to freaking justify, like you were saying, everyone taking a shit on him.
I just don't.
He's
getting a Cleveland steamer from everyone.
He was perfectly fine in the movie, and we're gonna get in that a little more.
I know my blood's already starting to boil though.
But yeah, we talked about Arnold. I think it's his best performance, probably 20 years. Mm-hmm. Khaleesi, you didn't really get into too much detail. Did you like Khaleesi's performance?
Oh yeah, I like. I
do like how we've just blatantly forever called her Khaleesi. Like,
well, like you said,
she might as well change her name.
She might as well just change her name to Khaleesi. I mean, I really liked watching her. It felt maybe just a tad bit awkward.
Because you're so used to her in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it also felt like it was awkward for her, like she's used to being the character from Game of Thrones or something. But it didn't take anything away from the performance for me.
Part of it, too, is that she has only done TV shows.
She's not used to an action role, either.
She's not used to an action role, and she's not used to...
she might get on Charizard's back and fly around, because she found HMO2 during the middle of that fight, but...
She's not used, not even just an action role, she's not used to doing movies, period.
Right.
TV versus movies
it's
are
different.
Two totally different animals, as I speak like from experience. Like,
but how many TV shows or movies have you been in, Jeff, fucker?
I have a perfectly successful podcast, asshole.
Thanks to your subscription.
You just broken the podcast.
It's like liking your own post on Facebook. Or retweeting your own tweet. Or favoriting your own tweet.
We do that.
We do. I'm just saying.
What the fuck were we even talking about? Oh yeah,
Khaleesi and Charizard.
Yeah, you might even notice, like, throughout the movie, as they were going through the filming, I think she got more and more used to filming a movie.
Did. By the end of the movie, she is Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
She is Khaleesi being Sarah Connor at the beginning. But by the end of the movie, she is definitely Sarah Connor.
She also is one of the best female actresses ever at pulling off hard-ass lines. Like,
yes. Breaking the wheel?
Yeah.
Your favorite line? Goddamn,
I want to go watch Game of Thrones
I know you do.
But,
let's just go record a commentary after this.
We should. Let's go back and do all 50 Game of Thrones episodes in a big long row.
I could do it.
Oh, one thing we can still talk about while we're doing spoiler free is the special effects were pretty fantastic.
They when you go from $6 million in 1984 to, or whenever, 1984, right? When the first one came out? Something like that?
80.
When you go from a $6 million budget to a $155 million budget, yeah.
It looked like they did kind of a blend of some practical effects and special effects. Like, it looked like
it's hard to tell with how damn shiny everything is, because the puppets in real life are that fucking shiny, and you can't tell what they're glossing over with CGI.
But no matter what, it all looked damn good.
Yeah, it looked too good to be all CGI to me.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job with just the Terminators themselves.
Yeah.
Like, with their, the iconic look of them, with the skulls and the teeth.
Yeah.
And when they have a shit ton of them on screen,
And-
it can be easy to make them not look as up to par.
And I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but one thing that upped the creepiness level of those things to me, the fucking like human teeth that some of them had. Some of them didn't have like robotic teeth, dude. Some of them had like fucking actual teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like metal skeleton, no skin, no nothing. That you can definitely see the robot and human teeth.
Yeah, it all looked great. Well, do you want to get into spoiler territory now? You want to make this the cutoff point?
Yeah, I think this is a good place to cut it off.
Closing spoiler-free thoughts. Your view on the movie.
Definitely see it, especially whether you're a Terminator fan or not. Definitely see it. I think you're going to enjoy it. If you're a Terminator fan, you're kind of obligated to see it. Don't listen to any fucking critics about this movie.
Don't listen to critics about anything. Go into a movie and formulate your own opinion.
Yes.
What I don't like are when people go and read 12 different reviews before they see a movie, because then all you're doing is you're seeing the movie through the lens of the reviewer. You're not watching the movie as yourself at that point.
Yes.
What you do is, at that point, you're pinpointing shit that you might not even recognize.
I think what is hurting this is like it's coming on the heels of like say Jurassic World. I think it's just being overshadowed by what else came out
Inside
recently?
Out, the Pixar
Yeah,
movie is
Inside
doing
Out.
really well.
I think Inside Out and Jurassic World are kind of overshadowing and
Why
stealing
the
its
hell
thunder.
didn't this movie come out at the end of July or in August when not shit else was out to compete with
What
it?
came out in June?
Jurassic World, I think. Was that June?
Yeah, because we're only 8 days in.
But yeah,
so.
well, we've talked about it numerous times before. After Ant-Man, there ain't shit for a long time. Why not put
Not
this out
till
later?
Star Wars, really.
Yeah, put it out later in the year. But I mean, it's too
August. That would
It's-
still call it a summer movie if it came out in August.
I mean, it's too late now. But yeah, it is sad.
well, to
that
be
it-
fair, no one knew Jurassic World was going to do what it did.
that's a good point.
Not even the Jurassic World
But
people.
they did air it pretty damn close to the Pixar movie, and Pixar movies crush at
Yeah.
summertime. So
And I hear, from what I've heard, even Pixar was shocked at what Inside Out is doing.
Yeah.
But, like you said, it's Pixar. You should expect it to crush. And, I think another thing a lot of the diehard fans that you've probably been hearing shit on this movie is the PG-13 rating. If it's supposed to be at the same level as Terminator and T2, those movies are rated R. So, you don't get the violence and like there's some nudity, minor nudity in the first Terminator, shit like that. But I think this is a good example of an action movie doesn't really have to have the gore to be an action movie.
usually it can be a negative because it's a lot of times gore can be used lazily for impact in your action.
Yeah.
If you're having to make action without blood and gore,
You have to make the action that
you have
much
to
better.
make it intense, and you
Yeah.
don't have to just rely on that shit. But yeah, well, we're going to get into the spoiler territory. I would just say I really enjoyed this movie. I probably liked it probably more than Jurassic World, actually.
Really?
I thought Jurassic World was kind of in the same vein, like a lot of fun, but I thought this movie had a lot more depth to it. And I have an appreciation for the millions of opportunities they had to make this a time travel clusterfuck and then still made it more coherent than Age of Ultron. I actually had an appreciation for, like...
I'll agree that Jurassic World's story is probably a little one note. But I don't know that I enjoyed it more than Jurassic World. Mad Max is probably still my favorite this summer. This is probably so far.
Mad Max is my favorite of the year as well.
So far, this is probably my number 3 movie.
After Jurassic World. See, this is
Yeah.
probably my second one after Mad Max, which is insane because I liked both Jurassic World and this more than I did Avengers.
Out of curiosity, how close would you rank it to Jurassic? I mean, I know it's comparing apples and oranges, but your love for the two movies, how close are they? Is it close running?
Of just Jurassic World and this, or like the franchises, are you saying?
No, of just these two movies, Jurassic World movies and Genisys.
I probably, part of it is I like Terminator in general more than Jurassic Park.
Uh-huh.
I think I got...
Both are my childhood, so I'm a little older than you.
I think I got a lot more out of Terminator. Like, I would be more willing to watch this a second time before I would Jurassic World a second time, for instance.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, not to, like I was saying, I think Jurassic World, it's been a shitty year for movies. I think Jurassic World is probably my third favorite of the year so far. But,
these numbers are probably going to change next week when Ant-Man comes out. No, it's 2 weeks till Ant-Man, right?
Something like that. Yeah, probably.
Fuck, I have IMDb right here. I keep doing that.
But yeah, not to shit on Jurassic World. I enjoyed them both a lot. But
no, we're not shitting on any of these movies. Not even really Age of Ultron. We had a whole podcast to that.
Yeah. Go back and listen to that if you want to hear more of our thoughts on that. But I just think Genisys had more kind of substance to it. Like you were saying, Jurassic World feels really one note, and I don't know, man. I loved seeing kind of Arnold's like return to form. Like I had a lot of fun just watching his performance. I thought he was, kind of recapturing Terminator 2, which has always been one of my all-time favorite movies. So
July 17th, so we're 9 days from Ant-Man.
Week and a half. Ant-Man.
Damn, I was wrong on both counts. I said a week or 2 weeks.
We should talk to Ant-Man a long time ago. It's probably going to be our favorite movie this year until Star Wars. So yeah, we'll see. But we're going to get into the spoiler territory now. And
so if you're stopping here, thanks for joining us. You can hit us up on Twitter and Facebook at WD.
We are sponsored.
That's my Twitter. Sorry,
we are
since I've already revealed that I'm fat.
We are sponsored by
at Tubia. If that's not taken, I might grab that tonight.
Tubia
at Tubia. At TWBE podcast on Twitter, and then Facebook /TWPE podcast. My God, TWBE podcast.
Use your words.
And
also subscribe to us on YouTube.
Now we're on YouTube as well.
It says There Will Be Expletives on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so just search for it for that. You should find us.
Yeah.
It's the thing with no views.
That's what I was going to say. We've got, what do we have, like 6 episodes up?
Yeah, ever since Hard Home.
And 2 like 1 minute long Arkham Knight videos from me. I keep posting Arkham Knight videos. Look at what I did, guys. I did good.
Jeff, check it out. Dude, I was Batman and I punched a guy in the face. It was amazing. But yeah, thank you for listening if you suffered through us thus far. And we are going to go into full on spoiler territory. We need a spoiler drop, like there's Star Trek red alerts or something.
I've got something in my head actually for that.
All right, yeah, we need to put some more,
I think you'll like it.
We need to put some more drops in. But yeah, we are going full spoilers, so you've been warned. And the first thing I would like to say is it's a goddamn shame that this movie barely made any money, because I want Matt Smith as a Terminator villain so goddamn bad, and it's probably never going to happen now. It makes me want to cry.
Yeah, the only hope would be international. If you just look at the domestic numbers, it's not happening.
So far, it has gone up to, I think, like 130-ish in that range worldwide, and that's just after, the first week? Not bad. It could have been worse. But
like
it's
we
not.
Said, it's going head-to-head against Jurassic World.
And Inside Out.
And Inside Out.
And it's
Ant-Man's coming up.
And Ant-Man is...
that could be the nail in the coffin for it. But, like you said, it's a shame because, dude, evil Doctor Who computer guy...
He was in this movie for like 5 minutes,
and he stole the show,
and he was awesome. He barely had anything to do, but just the freaking way he delivers his lines, it was like
terrifying.
It was like we were talking about how it takes a while for you to forget you're watching Khaleesi. Like I totally forgot I was watching the Doctor because his line delivery was menacing as hell.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of the Cyberman episode where they tried to make him cyber controller, and he's playing chess with himself, and it has the shots of good Doctor and evil Doctor inside of his head. It was very reminiscent of Evil Doctor, but good enough that you totally forgot about Doctor Who at all. It wasn't until after the movie I was thinking about it that it was reminiscent of that.
More Matt Smith.
But dude, you have a fucking hologram that is incomplete, just the outline of him, and you still saw the facial expressions, the emotion in his voice, everything was just fucking
and
menacing.
Lack of emotion in his voice. Like, really, really cold delivery on the lines. He was amazing. He was the one performance we couldn't talk about because it's a spoiler what he is in the movie. He was
on the Entertainment Weekly cover in the background, and that was all the limelight he's had.
Yeah, which Which, at least they were able to kind of keep him a secret. You know,
Yes.
they flashed the John Connor shit everywhere.
Oh my god, dude, the John Connor shit. Which
do you want to talk about that now?
let's go ahead and get that out of our system because there's so much more rage for later on. Okay, as the Terminator fan in the room, like the Terminator fanboy in the room, John Connor shit still pisses me off. But what pisses me off even more than turning John Connor into a Terminator and an infiltration unit, it's fucking showing me he's an infiltration unit in the goddamn trailer.
And on the poster.
When that's your fucking plot twist halfway through the movie. Like, okay, like we were talking before we got fired up and we started recording. Like, it obviously something happened. Because if you've seen the movie, then you know that he gets grabbed as the time travel commences, and then you don't see him again until halfway through the movie, and he's in our timeline. He's not in the future. He's here with Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. Magically, and he's fine, and you're like, oh dear Lord, or you would have been, like, oh dear Lord, what's going to happen? And then you fucking find out he's a machine. It would have been the clincher. But, no, that goddamn trailers... No, that means you had no respect for the movie you just made. If you're going to show me the plot twist in the trailer,
it was all about. I think,
no respect for me and no respect for the movie.
It was all about. I think they could see their numbers tracking in their predictions, and it wasn't going to hit the money they wanted. So they were just like, throw more shit out there. You know, try to hit more people. And I agree in that the marketing department. You know, gigantic middle finger to them for spoiling that.
Oh yeah,
that plot point in the movie didn't bother me at all because. To me, like you're saying, you know, John Connor is like sacred.
Yeah.
To me, what pisses me more off about John Connor specifically is in Salvation. You got Batman himself, Christian freaking Bale, to be John Connor at the brink of the war.
Had he just won an award when he was in Salvation too?
You're talking about
maybe not for Batman, but for something else.
He won an Oscar for The Fighter, which was I think like 2010, so it was like the year after. But he's Batman, so he's Christian Bale A-list, and he's not even the main character of the freaking movie that's taking place the closest to the war we've ever seen. To me, that is a much more bigger middle finger because at least the plot twist. I mean, it got ruined for us, but that plot twist has much more importance to the movie than John Connor did in Salvation to me.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that. John Connor was a backseat in Salvation.
Which is why...
It makes sense for a little bit in the movie, but then as the movie goes on, you just forget John Connor. Yeah. That's the part that pisses me off about Salvation. Because John Connor... What happens in Salvation paves the way for John Connor to become leader of the Resistance, but that doesn't fucking happen until the end of the movie, and you see him at the beginning of the movie and at the end and maybe once or twice in the middle, and that was it. And
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
Why they even went out of their way to get Christian Bale is other than to put him on the posters is like beyond me. But yeah, the thing I totally get like your reaction to it because you're a gigantic Terminator fan. Totally grant that to you. But like for me personally, I don't care as long as it works for the movie. And I actually thought, I
will admit also that the more I have thought about it since, because we saw it on Sunday and this is now Wednesday, the more I've thought about it, the more it kind of works and the more I have calmed down about that point. Just because if you think about it, well, this movie is happening at the same time the other movies happened, right? This movie is not a reboot. It's a rehash, but it's not a reboot. And if you think about it, it's always the same cycle, right? We get up to the war, and then Skynet's losing, and it sends a Terminator back in time. But if you think about something that Kyle Reese says in the movie, John Connor says something even better in the movie, that his knowledge ends here when they're sending Kyle Reese back. For all we know, this could have been always what happened while the events were happening in 1984 in that first movie. For all we know, that's exactly what happened after Kyle Reese left, was John Connor got grabbed by Skynet and something fucking awful happened to him. We don't know. We've never seen that. So... for all we know, this could be how it always happened. John Connor basically died the moment Kyle Reese came back. One thing I did think was interesting was when you watch the movie, even the first Terminator movie, John Connor's not even fucking in it. I think you get some flashbacks of him here and there, like standing on top of a pile of machines or a pile of skulls or something.
Yeah, I think it's when Kyle Reese is like remembering the war. Kinda.
Yeah. And I think he has some like nightmares or flashbacks of being underground and an infiltration unit comes in and dogs barking and stuff. Because dogs are definitely man's best friend in the war. But John Connor is still the star of that movie. Everything in that movie is John Connor this, John Connor that. You know, Kyle Reese, like, I gotta protect you so John Connor can be born. Then he's fucking John Connor's dad. Well, I guess he's fucking John Connor's mom. and you know, we get John Connor. John Connor is still the star of that first Terminator movie. This one, did it not feel like the entire focus of everything is now shifted to Kyle Reese?
Well, you say the story.
He is the implied star.
He is the focus of like what the whole thing's kind of about. But I would disagree in that he's like the quote unquote star, because like the star of the movie. You know, like, okay, like the star of Terminator 2 is more, you know, Arnold, if you just want to get right down to it. Like,
yeah.
It kind of depends on what your take on it. Like, he's like the focus of the plot, kind of, but I wouldn't say he's the star of the movie because he's barely in the movie. Like,
maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe I'm not saying it right. But, I mean, the first Terminator movie is about John Connor, even though he's not fucking in it. And then this movie felt more like it was about Kyle Reese.
Yeah, because the plot kind of changes. Because what happens is in Terminator 1, the whole mission is just save Sarah Connor.
Which I really hope we get a sequel, because there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Which they intentionally left.
They intentionally left
because they want to do at least another one.
Yeah,
that's what they've But yeah, like the plot of the first one is just save Sarah Connor. The plot of this one is Sarah Connor didn't need saving because of the unanswered questions we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, like who sent this Arnold back to save her originally, when she's younger. She gets attacked when she's younger.
A Terminator attacks her and her family when she's 9, kills her parents, and Pops was sent to protect her. And his memory of who sent him has been wiped, because the idea is then Skynet doesn't know who to try to attack to keep them from sending Pops.
Yeah.
So it kind of ends the cycle of, well, if you can send someone back to save her, I'll just send someone to kill you. And then, okay, send someone to protect that person, wiping his memory of who did that. So he has no clue, so the audience has no clue.
One thing good about this movie...
You kind of get the feeling it was Kyle Reese later. But
one good thing about this movie is they did have a lot of cool little clever ideas to break your like typical time travel tropes.
Yes.
Like, you were saying just now how, like, it's kind of a trope. Well, you know, if you send like this guy, I'll have his parents killed, and it never ends.
Yeah.
They had cool kind of deal breakers for time travel in this. And that, and like you were saying in the second one, John Connor's in it, but he's just not Lo's little kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, there's some parts of the movie you're like, God, I hope fucking T-1000 catches up to you here and there, but... Yeah, no, it was definitely interesting having the mashup of Terminator 1 and 2. How intense is that scene when they first introduced the T-1000? When he's putting on the fucking pants and then runs into the department store?
Yeah, I love the T-1000s, man. They're just
I don't know who the hell that guy was.
He was doing his best Robert Patrick impersonation. Because he was
he was. Yeah. Byung Hun Lee.
We are the best at pronouncing names on this show.
I'm telling you, dude. He
was
also looking pretty dapper in that IMDb photo.
He was also in G.I. Joe. Yeah, I think I remember seeing him. He's Storm Shadow. That's who he is. Is he Storm Shadow?
Which one's that again?
Snake Eyes' villain. You know, the white ninja.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. His face is fucking covered most of the time.
But yeah, he was awesome. Going back a little bit on the John Connor thing, it didn't bother me at all. I actually kind of liked the idea of them kind of advancing the Terminator to like the final stage. You know, like you were saying before off mic, you know, it's kind of like the ultimate Terminator they can have, where he's machine, but he's also organic. So it's like, at that point, what the fuck are you gonna do?
He's not a cyborg, and he's not an android. He's literally the perfect combination of both.
Yeah.
He's down to a cellular level machine. So, and, I get when he becomes evil, I get why he's evil, because, they make the plot point of Skynet, the one thing that was impossible for it to achieve was a machine that thinks like a human. So why not just make it a human the machine? So it makes sense if you can rewrite every cell in his body to be a machine, literally, that you can rewrite the programming in his brain. And if you're going to do that to a human, what human are you going to target than the guy that fucking brings you down?
And also
one guy that beats the machine.
Exactly. And you have to think of it, Matt Smith, Dr. Skynet, I'm going to start calling him Dr. Skynet. Dr. Skynet thinks purely logically because he is a computer program.
Right.
And what is the best infiltration unit you can have? John fucking Connor.
Exactly.
So it makes a lot of sense in the movie. That was my whole thing. Is like you were going into the movie really pissed off just that they did this. My whole thing was, yeah, it could be kind of lame, but I want to see how it's done within the movie. And I think it works within the movie, actually.
It just because it works doesn't mean I like it still. To me, we've had 4 movies. Even I'm still fucking saying 4 movies. I know a lot of people are just saying there was 2 movies and only 2 movies. But we've had 4 movies now that John Connor is our Jesus. And now all of a sudden he went from Jesus to Antichrist. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But then again, like you're saying, like they've done 4 movies of that. You can't just rehash the same thing over and over again.
See, and okay, I know that we still haven't gotten to the part where we just want to say fuck you critics yet, but one thing that was really pissing me off was I read a bunch of reviews before we came into this because I know it got critically destroyed, which also really hurts the chances because the studios listen to that. And it really hurts the chances of getting a sequel to this. So I wanted to know what it was I didn't like about it, right? What really pissed me off is every review I read was they completely broke down Terminator 1, completely broke down Terminator 2, and then they get to this movie, Terminator Genisys, and they're like, I don't like the spelling on Genesis. Or
it sucked.
The story sucked. And I'm like, you had a complete 4-paragraph breakdown of the first Terminator movie story, and you go over here and just say it sucked, and you don't tell me what it is about it that
how about
sucked.
you actually break down the freaking movie you're reviewing?
Yeah, I mean, you're already going to spoil everything as you're fucking reviewing it. Just go ahead and break it down. And one thing, here's what it is that really pissed me off. One thing that they, didn't matter what website I went to, they all said this, that the iconic thing about Terminator 1 and 2 is the way they went about time travel and what they showed you of time travel. And I was like, what the fuck did they show you? They showed you a back alley with a hobo and a naked guy materializes. They didn't show you shit about time travel. They showed you the result of time travel. This movie fucking showed you time travel. They showed you the machine. They showed you get into the machine. They showed what it was like to travel through the machine. It fucking hurts. He told Khaleesi, it's gonna hurt. And he saw a whole alternate timeline in his head. He's remembering memories from both.
It's got more time travel than any of the movies.
Yeah, and they do it again halfway through the movie. The other movies, you saw the result of time travel. They never showed you any time travel.
You don't even really see the result of it in the second one.
What I mean by the result is you saw naked people pop into existence.
Yeah, they never went in.
And a bunch of lightning. It was real flashy. That's all you saw of time travel in the first 2. And that was a lot of their people's main complaint is like, well, they went about time travel and the way it's done much better in the first 2. You never saw how it was done in the first 2. It was all from our perspective. This movie was from their perspective.
Yeah, we're going to get into a couple minutes more detail into the critic thing, but we were talking as we left the movie about kind of where we ranked it. And my whole thing is I don't hate Salvation and I don't hate Terminator 3. Like a lot of people do, because everyone fucking hates everything.
I like Terminator 3 better than 4.
I agree.
Oh, Salvation.
Yeah. And what this one, to me, felt, and a big part of it is because my favorite is Terminator 2, and this is the closest thing to Terminator 2 that they've ever done outside of that.
I'll give you that.
and just in tone, kind of making a fun action movie. That's kind of what I wanted from it, because that was always my favorite, was the second one. And this
the fate of mankind is at stake, but it's fun.
Well, I just appreciate them taking a moment to have a fucking joke every now and then. You know what I mean? And
thank God there's only one "I'll be back," and it's the one from the trailer, and we could just say it and move on.
And it was a hell of a lot better than one to Salvation. The Salvation was painfully forced, but neither here nor there. This felt to me the most like Terminator 1 and 2 that they've done since. And you had an interesting point. I don't know if you still feel about it, because it's been kind of going through your
digesting.
Digesting in your brain. But you were saying you thought it was a good movie, but if it was a good Terminator movie.
I'm still thinking about that.
To me, it's a good Terminator movie because I got the feelings about this one that I did about how I felt for the first two, and that it felt more like a Terminator movie than my example was Salvation. To me, Salvation doesn't feel like a Terminator movie. It just feels like a movie with skirmishes with robots that happen to look like Terminators. Well,
that's what, in the comics and books, that's what it is the closer you get to the war. The Terminators are actually the infiltration units. Not all the machines are Terminators. Once you get to all-out war, once you get to that part of the war, you don't actually have Terminators yet. Terminators are later, near the end of the war, when Skynet couldn't just march around and find the humans anymore. They had to look like humans, and the humans had to bring them in, and then they could fucking just slaughter everybody. And then that led to, we need to send an infiltration unit back into time, because John Connor's over there unplugging the router on the wall or whatever. So
Linksys is down. Linksys is down.
How many South Park references can we get into
all
this
of
episode?
Them.
All of the South Park references. But, so my thing is, the thing I'm getting frustrated about, that I've said many times leading up to this episode of the podcast, is I want the goddamn war. And, my wife, who is a Terminator fan also, and is entrenched in the movies, I've never read the comics, I've got some of the books, but she's entrenched in the movies. She says fuck the war. Because, like you're saying, you're just going to get the Clone Wars.
That's because my whole thing like that, and how it relates to Star Wars, in that what makes Terminator is, to me, kind of like the time travel aspects and shit, and not the war itself. Like to me, it's almost kind of like forest for the trees type of thing.
Right.
You think you want the war, but then what happens when you get it is you get the Clone Wars.
Well,
and what you want maybe isn't what you need to see.
One thing that a lot of people are shitting on this for is they said it's more of the same. And, it's like a Terminator came back in time, they're trying to kill Sarah Connor. That's the first movie. And it's more of the same what we've already seen. And that is one of the reasons why I want to move on to the goddamn war, because the comparison to the Clone Wars, here's the thing. What I want from the War with the Machines is what the Clone Wars should have been. Because the Clone Wars were not done well at all. And you didn't even see much of the Clone Wars, but goddamn do you hear about it.
You saw one battle.
You saw one battle, and then you get a couple of cartoons. One cartoon was good, one cartoon was shit. And, you just hear about it on end, and that's all you hear about, the Clone Wars, the Clone Wars, the Clone Wars. Then you get to the Clone War, and they show you one battle, and they don't even hardly show you the battle, and the Clone Wars are over. And you're like, when did it end? And what I want from the War with the Machines is what Clone Wars should have been. If it's done right, it could be fucking intense, and it could be awesome. And it doesn't have to be all-out war on a battlefield. You can spend maybe half the movie of that, and then bring in the infiltration units, and you start seeing the scenes you saw from the first one. Kyle Reese was having nightmares of being a kid and underground, and what looks to be a human walks in, and dogs start losing their shit, and you can have that.
I totally understand everything you're saying, but my question,
I don't give a fuck.
but my question is you seem to kind of be ragging on this movie specifically for not being what you wanted it to be. But my question is, if you look back at Salvation, that's the one to have that complaint about, because Salvation is the movie where you have adult John Connor as a main character, and why is that movie not The War, and why is that set up for The War?
Salvation?
When the previous, like you were talking about, every movie is like, John Connor, war, for 3 movies, you get Salvation with adult John Connor and it's Batman. Why the fuck isn't that the War movie?
And that's kind of how I feel about it. I still like it because it's the closest I've ever gotten to the War. That's basically the reason I like it.
But to me, that's the point when it gets so close, why you should brag on that one more than like Genisys.
The movie Salvation, all of the events that happen in Salvation could have been like the 20-25 minute opening to the War, and then the rest of the movie The War. And had we gotten a sequel to Salvation, that's the only place it could have gone was The War. That's the closest I've ever gotten to my War that I want, that I've been seeing flashbacks of and horror stories of for 3 movies.
But you just said it didn't have to. It could have been done in 20 minutes.
It could have been done in 20 minutes.
And the whole last hour and a half of that movie could have been The War.
Basically, all the scenes that have Christian Bale could have been the 20-minute opening to the movie with The War.
And here's my thing. Instead of having The War, we're not even going to make John Connor the main character, and we're going to have this whole fucking subplot with Avatar, dude.
Yeah.
Just... Like, I don't even want to see The War as much as you do. Show me the fucking War before you show me the Avatar dude in his subplot. Like,
what was weird about that is that his subplot, which was actually the plot, and John Connor was the subplot, but what's weird about that felt to me like the day Skynet's plug is getting pulled and we have to travel back in time. That felt closer to that than, this weird subplot before the all-out war. So, I don't know. It was weird, but the thing that I'm ragging on this about it not being The War is because now I just feel like we started all over again.
And
that's what is frustrating me.
I get that.
I'm not actually ragging on the movie for not being The War. I'm frustrated that this movie is taking me back to the beginning, and now I'm the furthest I've been from The War since 1984.
I get that, how this is like kind of put you all the way back, but to me it's
more, a better movie than Salvation.
To me, it's more egregious on Salvation's part to not show it, because like you were saying, you got so close, and instead of The War, you got the Avatar guy story.
I got the appetizer. I got a little taste of it. We had a bunch of douchebags in a submarine. I'm still not even sure what was happening there, but I got the feeling they were the leader of the human resistance, and they weren't leading, and they got blown out of the fucking water, and now John Connor can take over, and it's over, and now we're back to 1984.
And if this whole thing is, if they're going into Salvation with the mindset like this is setup, make better fucking setup so you can actually have your sequel.
Yeah. Because
the movie wasn't that good, so how the hell do you expect to get a sequel off of it?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't fucking know. Salvation is the one that makes me scratch my head, because I was super excited for it, and it just completely let me down.
It is the least Terminator of them.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure when we initially left the movie theater, but
the more it kind of digested.
Since Sunday, the more I've digested, the more I've kind of calmed down about the John Connor stuff and the movie trailer for it and everything. Salvation is the least Terminator of the franchise.
So where do you rank Genisys?
I would probably...
Is 2 your favorite overall?
2 is my favorite.
And then 1.
And then what I'm not sure about is Terminator 3 versus Genisys. Because Terminator 3 took a lot of shit it didn't deserve, I feel like.
This one.
Like this one is. This one doesn't deserve any of the criticism it's getting, other than the marketing stuff, and from the diehard fans, probably the John Connor stuff. Because like I said, they took our Jesus and made him the Antichrist. So, which... Antichrist is probably the perfect analogy for what he is now. I mean, he's John fucking Connor, and he's a machine now, so... But
at least in this one, John
the
Connor,
ultimate infiltration unit, right?
They turned him into a Terminator, whatever you want to call him. At least he was a pivotal part of this movie's plot. That hasn't been... You can't really say that. It's the closest you get is Terminator 2... And he's just a little dipshit kid.
And what is so painful about that is the fucking trailer. Because, for those of you who can't see, I'm pointing behind me as if you guys can see. the fucking trailer. So John Connor, the thing is, it was hidden so well that something was going to happen to him. The feel of John Connor in this is what it's been in all the other movies. You get a taste of John Connor, and then you do the time travel thing, and John Connor's kind of out of the picture. But because of the fucking trailer, you know he's coming back.
Yeah, it would have been a really awesome reveal. So
for him, with that moment he walked in the hospital, I was sitting there on Sunday like, oh, this department's supposed to be like, what? But I didn't get that feeling, and it was gone.
And this goes back to our very first episode where we've always bitched fucking Hollywood outside of like 4 goddamn people. Yep. Don't even know how to make a good trailer, but don't even know how to make a respectful trailer, like you were saying. Like, totally ruins part of the movie.
They obviously don't respect their own property, and they don't respect the fans or the viewers. You're not, even the non-fans, the casual movie watchers that are coming in to watch your fucking movie, they don't want their shit spoiled either. They're going to the movie. They're going to find out later in the movie. Trust me, they're watching it.
At least, and now I'm not giving them an excuse because it was fucking egregious and horrible for them to spoil that, but at least it happened halfway through the movie where we got another half the movie to be surprised.
At least it wasn't the climax.
At least it wasn't like the final mindfuck. You know, that would have been, like, for instance, do you know the movie Quarantine?
Yes.
Have you ever seen Quarantine?
Probably not. I don't know. Why do I know that?
It's the zombie movie, and on the poster is the girl being dragged, and in the trailer, the famous scene was the girl being dragged away from the camera. That's the ending of the movie.
Is it really?
They put the ending scene of the movie in the trailer and on the poster.
What the actual fuck?
And it's not even like the last thing that happens, like, as far as like the plot. It is the last scene. The very last scene.
Okay,
like,
Nolan is on my shit list for Dark Knight Rises, but he can make a fucking trailer. You know, J.J. Abrams can make a fucking trailer. Dude, had I really known what Cloverfield was, I never would have saw it. I love that movie because I saw it and I know what it is now. But that trailer was fucking intense, and I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah, it was an awesome trailer. Yeah,
and
they didn't even have a name for the movie yet. It was just the release date.
It was an untitled project.
Yeah.
So, no. Why you have to do this? Anyways, Terminator Genisys. One plot point that is being shit on that I have to give them props for. Back in 1984, and you first hear about Skynet, and you hear super intelligent computer AI that is so amazing and so powerful that it becomes self-aware and it wakes up. In 1984, where is the only place you think you're going to find that? Military application, right? So it was a defense protocol that was supposed to manage our weapons of mass destruction. It was supposed to manage our entire military infrastructure. And it became self-aware and turned all of those weapons on us, and that's Judgment Day. One of the reasons I love Terminator 3 is we finally saw Judgment Day, not just, you know, Sarah Connor dreaming what Judgment Day would be like. And was that Terminator 2?
That was 2. Yeah, which is on the fence. That's 2.
Which is still one of my favorite memes on the planet. But anyways, we finally saw, that's what Terminator 3 is all about, is Judgment Day. And where was I going with this? Fuck.
Skynet being the operating system.
Skynet, operating system. Yes, I fucking love that because
it was genius. They made it modern and it made total sense.
Yes, they fucking modernized it because a lot of people are saying like, well, it's not a defense protocol. It's not which protocols. That's not even the right application of the word, you fuckers. But yeah, so it being an operating system tied into your computers, your mobile devices. And they made a point that the military was switching to it too. They've said that in the news, and everyone has been using this operating system called Genisys.
Which makes fucking sense because what percentage of the population on the planet has an iOS or Android phone right now?
Think about this also. Think about how many people lose their shit when Apple announces the new iOS, or I'm an Apple guy, so whoever the fuck's in charge of Android, I guess just Google in general, talks about the next iteration of the Android operating system. How many people lose their shit and freak out, and they have to be the first in line to get it? And it makes sense. It makes total fucking sense.
So, okay, do you want to move over into the critic thing right now?
Okay, so...
first of all, I thought this is my third favorite one after the first two.
Okay.
I don't hate on 3 either. My least favorite one is Salvation. I probably made that abundantly fucking clear with what I've been saying. But this was my third favorite one because what it did was it took me back to Terminator 2, which was always my favorite one.
Right.
What it was is, like I was saying, what it felt like, it was kind of like an Abrams-style Star Trek reimagining type thing going on with the kind of the plot of the first one mixed with the tone of the second one with crazy new shit going down, which, I was all for. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun.
And, I mean, there's really the only thing that was predictable as just kind of like, a fucking course, had to be Arnold getting upgraded to a T-1000.
Which is still pretty badass when you think about it.
It's pretty badass because think about what that could mean in the sequel.
We're never going to be able to see it.
We're not ever going to see it, but we can
some
imagine.
Badass shit going on with Arnold.
Because, I mean, they made the point of, it's harmless without the control chip, blah, blah, blah. There's like a big old puddle of robots down there. And then you see the upper half of his body fling into it. I'm like, oh, he's not dead. He's coming back.
Which was predictable, but they kind of wrote it to be predictable.
Yeah.
Because they have that line like 5 minutes before that happens.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we're talking like a Shyamalan mindfuck type thing.
How did it do anything emotionally to you to see Arnold trying to crawl away from John Connor the way he did the T-1000 in Terminator 2? I mean, it's basically the exact same fucking scene, just inside the time machine instead of the time machine without time, because it's not functioning yet. It's just the quantum field, they say, which who knows what the fuck that means.
I'm not Neil deGrasse douchebag. I don't know.
Neil the douchebag. So okay, critics. The criticism that they are giving Terminator Salvation, fuck, that one deserved.
Was totally deserved.
Let's retcon this. Okay, the criticism that they are giving Terminator Genisys is pushed all the right buttons that we cannot fucking hold it in anymore. Fuck you, critics. The last critics that were out there that deserved the title and deserved the job, take your pick. It was either Siskel and Ebert or Ebert and Roper. And after that, all of you can go fuck yourselves. Because
there are a few out there.
Very, very
few.
Needle in a haystack, but they're there.
Yeah. Very, very few that actually kind of get it. And they're far outnumbered by the douchebags who think their entire job focuses on they have to shit and hate.
The age of the blog is what happened. That's exactly what happened. Any idiot with a computer can either start a podcast like we did, or can start a blog and just start writing about shit. And the word criticism or critic has a negative connotation to it.
When it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to. And that's what they think it is. They think to be a critic, you just have to shit on everything. And some of them...
And everything is terrible. And everything
about it. And everything.
And that every movie needs to be judged by the same standards as the motherfucking Godfather.
Yeah.
Jurassic World should not be judged by the same movie standards as Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Jurassic World exists to have fun in a motherfucking theater.
How much can you criticize a movie about hypothetical, genetically engineered fucking dinosaurs in the modern age?
Or Mad Max. Mad Max, you could summarize the entire script on in a paragraph.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome movie because it's not what that's meant
I'm pretty sure that's how many lines were in that movie. It was about a paragraph's worth.
It's just, it's gotten so far out of hand.
But you know what was amazing about Mad Max? 70 miles an hour in the desert, guys on fucking poles swinging back and forth Those are real fucking people.
Exactly. There's more to
dude, we are living in a world where a guy was strapped to a truck at 70 miles an hour with a guitar that shoots flames out of the end. Fucking meth head on strings, playing strings with fire shooting out. Okay? We live in that world, and people have to shit on it.
Well, they didn't shit on Mad Max as much as like these last two movies we're talking about, but
they did not. They actually, everybody, including a lot of the critics, were blown away by Mad Max. But the things that they did criticize Mad Max about
were ridiculous.
Was like me not liking how fucking buff Kyle Reese is, or that in a movie about fucking dinosaurs, I'm pissed they got the Jeep started when the Jeep is from 1992.
You're part of the problem, man.
But here's the thing. I at least accept that the things I'm saying are fucking irrelevant.
They think they're fucking hot shit and that...
They think they deserve an award for their writing.
Okay, they think what justifies them being a critic, like you were saying, how it has to have a negative connotation in their mind, and that they have to point out every single little flaw and hate on every movie. When Terminator Genisys...
It's a sound movie. No matter what you think about it as a Terminator movie, it's a sound movie.
Yeah, I don't understand why everything has to be judged the same way in their eyes, because, like I was saying, I'm gonna watch...
Apples and oranges, man.
I'm gonna watch Saving Private Ryan, or Pulp Fiction, or, whatever Oscar-winning movie you want to talk about, and I'm gonna judge it differently because you should, because not every movie has the same goal in mind.
Yeah.
Not every movie is meant to have...
Unless they're part of the same franchise, really, you can't really compare a movie. You need to look at the movie for what the movie is.
And what it's trying to do. Terminator Genisys is trying to be... For fuck's sake, they have a scene where they play the Bad Boys theme when they go to prison. It's meant to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, give it a break.
If
you want to shit on something, go find a Michael Bay movie.
One thing
that deserves it.
One thing that they were saying, and if you are by chance listening to this, which I know is a long shot, no one listens, but if you are listening to this and you are a critic or someone with a blog or whatever, and you're doing the right thing, just looking at the movie in front of you, and if it has flaws, it has flaws. But if it is a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, probably deserved to be torn apart, and it wasn't, because it was a fun movie. It even won critics over. Okay, I mean, great movie. It's one of my favorites, but there is a lot wrong with that movie if you look at it just as a movie and script-wise.
We struggle remembering even the name of the villain, for instance.
Yeah, it usually takes me a minute to think of it, and we still don't know his motivations. We don't know anything. They didn't just not develop the villain. The villain has maybe, I was going to say 5 minutes of screen time. That's probably more like 10 minutes of screen time. But, it's just ludicrous. If you are listening to this and you are kind of that capacity, please consider what we're saying. If you are the one needle in the haystack we're talking about, please still consider what we're saying, but keep it up, because there needs to be more people out there that can look at a movie for what it is. And that's why you and I find ourselves sitting with these microphones time after time saying that this movie did not deserve the shit that it got. Because people out there with a keyboard just think, oh, it is a movie? It must suck. Typity type.
Zack Snyder's entire career.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Okay, I mean...
Poor Zack Snyder. It's like...
It is the most... If you want to be the popular kid, the cool kid, you hate on Zack Snyder. I don't get it.
Because it's exactly what you just said. It's the cool thing is to Zack Snyder sucks. Zack Snyder doesn't understand this. Zack Snyder doesn't understand that. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Zack Snyder's script sucked. He didn't make the fucking script.
Zack Snyder doesn't understand Superman because Man of Steel winning Superman for 4 days. He's not acting like super fucking assholes. But we could do a whole podcast about.
Well, we're doing a whole other one about critics. So okay. So one of the things that I was wanting to say earlier in the spoiler review that I decided to wait for the critics thing, because this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and I said this to you in text message earlier today. A lot of the things that I had, all of the critics' columns were literally identical. It didn't matter what source it was, what author it was. They all said the exact same thing, which was a whole lot of nothing with a few nuggets of fucking stupidity. And this is one of the nuggets of fucking stupidity. Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. Those elicit emotional responses, and you immediately love them because they are shit you've never seen before. They are shit that was never done before those movies existed. They took a $6 million budget in the first Terminator and dumped it all into the machines and just ran around the streets with cameras. Okay, it was all in the special effects, and it was done beautifully. It was a well-written, solid script. And then the machines and skin being peeled back and seeing metal, none of that was done before. Terminator 2, they did all of that again in a new way with a bigger budget. I have no idea what the budget was for Terminator 2, but you could tell by looking at the two movies. It was drastically larger. It was
revolutionary for the early 90s.
Yeah.
It was.
And they did all that same thing again. And then they included a guy that is fucking liquid. A guy that they close like... I think it was a hallway off with bars, if I remember correctly. He just fucking walks through the bars, and he gets frozen and then shattered, and he melts and puts himself back together. And
what he did also was he took his approach that he did with Ridley Scott's Aliens. Because what he did is they're really, really similar in that the first Alien is kind of like a survival horror tone. And then he takes over for the second one, and then turns it action-based.
I've never thought about it that way, but that is a perfect way to describe it, because it is a survival action horror.
Yeah, and then the same thing. Now, he did both Terminator 1 and 2, but he kind of did the same thing with Terminator 2. Is he took his own property this time, and then tweaked it from being survival horror. He's got a bigger budget. We're going to go all out. We're going to make it horror, or not horror, but, kind of survival action instead, and makes it bigger,
But yeah, there actually is a lot of similarities between Alien and T2. An invincible foe that can't be stopped. All you can do is run from and slow it down. Just no airlock in T2. But so where I was going with all of this is every single review that you can look up on Terminator Genisys talks about how it's just more of the same from Terminator 1 and 2. Yeah, you're going to compare it to that because Terminator 1 and 2 was fucking mind-bending. Okay, it was mind-blowing and mind-bending, and you'd never seen anything like that before in your life. And how the fuck are you going to recreate that type of emotion or that type of moment? You can match it, you can try to surpass it, but the emotional response to it is not there. Because you've seen it before. You saw it in 1984, and when was T2?
91, 92.
That's what I was thinking. There was quite a gap between them. I remember that.
Yeah, it had been a while.
But you've seen it before, and it blew your mind then. It's not going to blow your mind then. Now, no matter what you do with it. And you can say, that's down to the writing or that's down to the imagination. But is it really? But you're talking about a guy that fucking melts and literally takes his head, shatters the window in a helicopter or the windshield in a helicopter, and then pours himself into the helicopter. How are you going to reimagine that? They tried in Terminator 3 with combining the villains of T1 and T2 together. You had a solid metal body underneath and it had the liquid metal on top. It was basically an Arnold Schwarzenegger that could shapeshift and repair itself and everything like that. That, I thought, was a pretty cool reimagining. It was an interesting take. A lot of people shit on that. They didn't need to. That girl that plays that part was beautiful for that part. And it still had some of the comedic elements like you were talking about too, by the way. Like when she got pulled over by the cop and she sees the billboard and the large breasts on the girl on the billboard and you see her just inflate and stuff like that. But, if you're going to compare it, how creative it is and revolutionary it is to T1 and T2, of course it's going to fail that. Because it's the Terminator universe, and those movies came first, and they've already blown your mind. Yeah, you can't say it sucks because you didn't get the same level of emotion from the first two from the mind-bending part of it.
When it's like you said, it's literally impossible for it to do that.
Yeah, you can't do it again because you can't unsee it.
All it can do is reimagine it in a clever way and then make you walk away where you're not pissed.
Yeah.
Because that's usually what happens in these situations. Like
the part that pisses me off about John Connor is not like what it is they did to him. It's the fact they picked John Connor to do it to, because again, Jesus to Antichrist. But I thought that was a pretty clever reimagining of the ultimate Terminator, the ultimate machine, a human machine.
And they picked, like we said earlier, like the perfect infiltrator because they're not gonna expect John Connor.
You're not gonna run from John Connor. You're gonna ask for his autograph.
And it would have been really awesome if we didn't already know that ahead of time, guys.
See, and that is one thing I agreed with them on. All of them slammed the marketing campaign for that movie.
I am right with them, but that's not the movie's fault with the marketing.
It's not the movie's
which I'm sure.
That's the company.
I'm sure a lot of the critics kind of tie that in with the movie itself.
They did.
Is bullshit because it's two totally different companies.
Yeah,
like you can't give Alan Taylor, the director, shit because the marketing campaign decided to spoil his movie. You know.
Yeah.
I bet you $1 million. Alan Taylor, the director, is just as pissed as we are.
I bet you don't have $1 million.
Well, I will once we go viral with this amazing podcast. But, I mean, come on now. I mean, if you were the director, wouldn't you also be livid?
Yeah.
So, and then now he's also taking shit for it. It's like, you motherfuckers, like, ruin my movie and, add more fuel to the fire. I don't know.
I don't understand the way critics go about it because all they do is bitch and moan. And some movies, like, the better the movie, the more nitpicky it is. Like, you can tell they're digging or, like, mining.
Because they have to find something to, I guess, in their head, if they don't, it's, instead of reviewing and critiquing, it's like they view it as like a flaw finder job. Like, if they don't find every little flaw and nitpick it in every movie, they feel like they're not justifying themselves as a reviewer.
Yeah.
That's like the impression I get.
That's the impression I get. That you are not a critic unless you're being fucking critical of every little detail, no matter how minute. Like how buff Kyle Reese is. But see, I fucking know that what I'm saying is ludicrous. They think it's award-winning material. Yeah, and they think it's their job description.
You own up to it, and they kind of flaunt it proudly, almost.
Yeah,
that,
it's a badge of honor.
I am awesome at hating everything. It's like here's a new approach. Maybe go to the movie theater, try to have fun, assholes.
Yeah. I don't understand. And then, like, do we even need movie critics anymore?
I'll tell you what, I used to channel my Hank Hill for a second. I used to actually check out reviews either before or after I watched a movie. What I do now, I don't watch them before or after. Because they're all horseshit. Yep. And I like, especially going into the film, to form my own freaking opinion. Because what used to happen was, before I kind of realized what was happening when I was a teenager, I would read a review and then I would go and watch, like, the perfect freaking example is Man of Steel. A shit ton of people pick up the fucking New York Times reviews and shit, and Superman doesn't save anyone, blah, 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 and then go into the movie, and then kind of view the movie in that mindset.
He saved the fucking planet, dude.
He saves the planet after he's turned himself in where he might possibly die in order to try and save the planet. Like,
which totally not a Superman thing to do, bro.
We're not going to talk about Man of Steel because I could rant about that shit for a long time.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. But like I was saying, like, if you want to check out reviews like you did, what happened when you looked at the reviews, you compare your opinion with their opinion instead of forming your opinion via their opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is you're looking at it through their lens if you read it before you go.
At least read the bullshit.
Because they have planted the seeds in your mind.
When you go in, I think I said earlier about, like, like seeing it through their lens, like, you can never unsee what they've told you to see, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So just go into the movie.
They might as well be sitting in the seat next to you like, no, this is the part I was referring to when I said that this was shit.
It's like, just watch a movie, try to have fun, and form your own fucking opinions. Like, I mean, we can go on, but we've been going on way too long about this. I think that's kind of a good send-off, actually, of 30 minutes of expletives and hate. Probably the most expletives we've ever had.
We have finally lived up to our name.
Yeah, after, 17 episodes, we finally had a rant.
But I think a good closing, actually, for this, what we're talking about, just to drive the point home, because we haven't done that for the last 30 minutes at all.
Hour and a half, actually.
I think we've been... I think it's been about just 30 minutes of critics only.
Oh, God.
I had a friend in high school who, her father, was the world's biggest Speed Racer fan. Speed Racer posters all over the house. Every model of the Mach 5 that you could find, in little cases and stuff all over the house. He had every episode, of course, on the shelf. Movie comes out. He has yet to still fucking see it, as far as I know, because the critics tore that movie apart. And he was like, nope, not going to see it. This is the thing you fucking love. That's like you and me saying we're not going to a Batman movie. Okay? I tear Batman vs. Superman apart every episode. I'm going to be there fucking day one watching it. I have to. I'm obligated to as a Batman fan. He's obligated to go see that movie as a Speed Racer fan. Nope. Not going to happen because of the critics. The critics have ruined it for him. And the thing is, the people that I know that haven't seen it say it's because of the critics. I don't know about you, but the people I know that haven't...
I just haven't honestly gotten around to
seeing it. I know you haven't gotten around to it, but I mean like the people you know that haven't seen it.
Typically, it's
because of what the critics said. But the people that I know that have seen it fucking love that movie.
And it boils down to not even just movie criticism, but just kind of opinions we all form in fiction in general.
Yeah.
And that is that opinions are opinions, and the way that you see a movie or book or comic or TV show or whatever the fuck you want to talk about is subjective to you and you alone. You and me agree on 95% of things, and the other 5%.
The more we talk, that number shrinks, it seems.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I had a thought, and it was gone because
we've been talking for 3 hours.
Well, I was gonna say it. And then you started talking, I got really interested in what you were saying, and then...
I have that effect on people.
I wish you had it more often. Maybe we'd have more subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mean you're the reason we don't. But... I don't know. Here's... Just, if you have to check reviews, check it after. And I don't mean just for movies. I mean for books. I mean for video games. I mean Broadway plays, whatever. How many Broadway actors' careers have probably been destroyed by critics and it was totally undeserved? I mean, that's a known one. Everyone on the earth knows that happens. So...
It's actually interesting. Like, you might actually want to check out, parts of Birdman are actually all about criticism of his play. It's actually like, I wasn't crazy about that film, but that's an interesting subplot in it. It's actually probably worth checking out because we've been ranting for the last 3 fucking hours about criticism in general. But
if we literally have some heroes that we listen to in podcasts, like Kevin Smith and some others that we listen to in podcasts, and it inspired us to start our own podcast. If you enjoy movies and stuff, and you can look at a movie for what the movie is, then start writing about it, because too many people out there that have a daily job that are paid to hate on something for no reason. There's just too many of them out there. We need other voices out there. You and me critique things all the time, and most of the time, movie's fucking awesome. Get out there and see it. You know? Like, it may not live up to whatever it's a sequel of or whatever, but by itself, it's a good movie. This one falls into that category. Jurassic World, not a lot of people torn it apart. It has been pretty solid. It's usually something to do with gas turned into jelly in a gas tank or fuel line in a 1992 Jeep. But
probably the last thing I want to say is like what relates back to the Speed Racer fan.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous letting someone else turn you away for something you love, because it's not like we all view fiction in a cookie cutter way.
Mm-hmm. That's what I had that I lost. That's exactly what I had that I lost. Let me say it before I lose it again. Every person has their own opinion. They see things through their own lens. So, for instance, you and I and Phil and my wife all went to Terminator Genisys. We all saw the same movie, but I see it differently than you did, which we both see it differently than my wife did, and she sees it differently from Phil. All of us experience the movie differently, even though it's the same movie. And to let one asshole, or in this case, the entire internet of assholes, I don't know. That was all I had to say. I mean, to just let them ruin your own personal experience because you have to experience it the same way they did. I don't know. It just makes me pretty pissed off.
It pisses me off too. I have grown.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was going to lose that thought again because I'm pretty tired.
I have grown to just not even go after the fact, because another thing too of like when you go and seek out reviews, when you went and looked at those reviews, what happened? You walked away kind of pissed off, didn't you?
I did.
So what good did that honestly do you in the end?
Honestly, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have this show. Because we were going to talk about this, and for some reason, this movie is getting torn apart more than any other movie I've ever seen by the critics, and I had to know what they were saying. They're saying a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, since everyone views something as their own thing, and you can never experience something the same way someone else does, because it's just not how fiction reaction works.
It's not how the world works, really.
Yeah. So
I see the world differently than you see it.
Just go and experience fiction or just things in life in general, and form your own opinion, and don't let someone else, screw their own ideas into your brain. I mean,
that's our public service message.
But yeah, I think we need to get this.
The more you know.
We need to wrap up this podcast because, good Lord, we've been talking about this for like 3.5 hours. But yeah, if you actually managed to stick with this long, which no one did.
No one did.
Well, they kind of, it was just white noise at the 2-hour mark once we just start cursing about criticism.
Like as soon as we started talking, like, oh God, they're going to speak in this podcast? I'm turning this off.
Yeah, let's go to the other podcast where, it's not just horrible AOL dial-up screeching sounds for 2.5 hours. But yeah, check us out more on Twitter at TWBE Podcast and on Facebook.com/TWBE Podcast.
And YouTube.
And we, like Ron said, we are now on YouTube. That means we're legit.
Yep.
Hooray.
That means we've made it. We have our free account on YouTube.
And that means people can actively say how terrible we are. Hooray!
Yay! We've always had comments, just no one's ever found where to make them.
We have some new things coming up on the horizon for the show. We have figured out we're going to start doing more commentaries, and with commentaries also doing our rant tracks.
Yes.
And we are going to take movies. I think the first ones we have down were, one of them was Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, definitely.
And there was another one I'm forgetting.
Godzilla.
And we're going to try to...
Which that one could be iffy. Because a lot of people fucking adore that movie, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, I think you and me are the people in the world that like...
We'll get to it. That's going to be one of the first ones we do.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out like how we want to schedule those in, but we are eventually going to do those. And thank you for being tortured by our podcast this far, and we will catch you next time.